Sound is fine. Thank you, Fiddleford. I literally like every single day now I do a test before I go live. I just can't trust the setup any longer. It's annoying how often the sound just doesn't work for no reason. There's no reason. It just doesn't work. And it's always the days where I don't check that I get hung. So I've just got to check every single time. I know, a sound check. Oh my god. What am I? A professional? What am I, a professional live streaming communist? What? How could you possibly expect this of me? Good evening, Peanut Butter Beatrice. Yeah, Mr. Parenti over here. I just need a yellow filter is what I need. Just like a yellow filter over here, and then everything will be completely fine. Oh my god. Nothing really happened this week again. It's just like the perpetual state of decay. I'm trying to improve the quality of my own life. I'm trying to stay positive, enjoy what I have, find perspective within like the framework of our reality, and while simultaneously like eating blows, you know? Like literally every single time I step out into the world in order to be like, hello, my name is Jonathan. I'm looking for something positive. I just feel like I'm just getting hammered. I just feel like I'm getting hammered all the time. It's really tough. The people are tough. And that's what sucks. Because the environment is actually pretty good. Like it's pretty kick-ass. You get out into the beaches, you get out into the wilderness at all. Like just find the sunlight and life is nicer. Life is chill. You're going around. Like there are ice cream shops and convenience stores, video games. Like there are so many beautiful things in the world. And it would really be a disservice, I think, to all of us, to yourself, really, if you didn't just pause and stop and actually smell the roses, right? Enjoy the world around you. We are at a point now where anyone who is trying to shame you or guilt you out of enjoying whatever it is you enjoy to do, I think we're at a point now where we can just roundly ignore those people. Like, it's just the silliest possible thing to say at this point. Grind set, hustle hard, put in the work. Shut up. Like, shut up. JT, good to see you. Subscribe, maybe. Yeah, subscribe, maybe. Think about it. Good to see you. Content, always a pleasure, as always. And when I see people talking in my Discord, and when I see people talking on the streets, and when I see people talking, it's pretty clear that everybody's just kind of getting battered, you know? That everyone's striving for a better life. And you might not realize it, but the life you have is pretty good. Pretty decent. Like like I always think about my dad, who like didn't have indoor plumbing and didn't have electricity. Fuck that. Big F you to that. Big no thanks for that. I wanna you wanna Like, thanks, parents and grandparents of yore. Thank you for the electrical grid. For real. Like, thank you for the electrical grid. Thanks for the plumbing. Like, thanks for that. Yeah, that was really great. Thanks for building the ability to fly. Right? The ability to fly has like enabled so many things in my life. It's absolutely crazy. And I think that like we're at this frustration moment right now here in the West because I want to pay that forward. I can't pay it back. Those people are dead or near enough. Any benefit that could be conferred upon them for anything I could do, nah, it's too late. So the only thing to do is to kind of pay it forward. And I feel like the vision for the future that came out of the millennials was like solar panels and getting rid of climate change and taking things on and like actually achieving stuff and building institutions for the next iteration. Right? Like oil's not a thing. Like oil's over. Like this is the crazy part about this conversation. This is the craziest thing about this whole conversation. Is that oil is over. Like it is. We run out of the stuff. It's actually in many places it's already cheaper to go solar. I was speaking with someone, I ran into somebody I used to work with, and they told me that they bought a car. An electric car. It cost them $6,000. They plug it in to charge it. It's like a little hatchback they can bomb around the city with. It's exactly what anybody should have in this city. And you can get it for $6,000. Like, shut up. It's over, man. Like, it's over. Slam dunk. We're done here. The conversation's over. So the real frustration, I think, like I'm 43 now, right? I was a teenager saying the things that I'm saying. And it's just sort of astounding how difficult it's been. This uphill climb, this constant uphill climb of like any headway being made and then just like a slide back down. No, it's been brutal. Like it's been really brutal. Like imagine if you were living in a country that didn't have an electrical grid. And anytime you brought up, hey, we could do an electrical grid, the people with all the wealth and power said, no, we can't afford that. There's no money in that. How are you even thinking of doing that? What possible way could we set up something so elaborate and complex as an electrical grid? And like, I feel like if that's what these peasants essentially were being told, they would overthrow these guys. And like, if you're living in an oil state, if you're living in like Alberta, where they're gonna cling hold of oil until the very last drop and then just like bail on you completely, I'd be seriously thinking about just like overthrowing these guys, like just straight up, like, oh, the entire political apparatus is corrupt. There's no salvaging it. Like ask the devil very nicely to stop killing you. Like, okay, that's definitely gonna happen. For sure. That's gonna happen. JT writes, this is what I'm trying to embody. The homeless folk I am around have a range of bad views, but it's been interesting to humble myself through it. Yeah. Good evening, Anemone. Good to see you. JT writes, a friend of mine passed at 55 recently. My condolences. Met him at the homeless shelter, a veteran with PTSD and alcoholism, but he centered me. He just wanted to have fires, beers, and to reminisce about Bugs Bunny. Yeah. Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Not a bad choice, by the way. Bugs Bunny. Solid choice. Dude, imagine Looney Tunes and like Disney films right at the beginning must have just been literal magic to people. Like we're so conditioned with it. Like animation and everything is so like present. We've got robots making animation now. Like a robot can make animation now. When they showed the first film, like one of the first films, there was a scene where a train came at the screen and people fled the theater. Like humans, baby. Humans. We saw this train coming at us on a screen and went, oh goodness, and ran away from the train. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Gorgeous. Gorgeous humanity. And so once you finally keyed into like, okay, this isn't going to hurt you, right? This is a screen, we're projecting something. Once you kind of understood how it worked, sort of. Something like Bugs Bunny, like Snow White, like these films must have been like literal magic, like hallucinogenic fever dreams. You're just like bumping around life, and the highest form of art that you have likely ever seen is somebody standing in front of you saying something, right? Who's on first? The Stooges, right? People actually performing right in front of you. Or maybe you've seen like a Charlie Chaplin film where Charlie Chaplin basically does what he does in front of people, but they film it. And then along comes like you know how you can see a painting in a museum, right? What if it moved? What if it told a story? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Anyway, how do I even get oh yeah, in the middle of that, I thought, here's something I've been thinking about every single day. Every single day, this thought comes into my head, which is, isn't it hilarious how at the exact moment that we have this publicly available technology to create AI images and AI video, at that exact moment, our government is saying, we're going to have contact with aliens. That everyone's all of a sudden like, aliens are coming. We're having interviews with people. There's like, I'll be scrolling or I'll be looking around. And all of a sudden there'll just be a video in front of me being like, oh yes, the aliens. The aliens are coming. It's going to be 2027. You watch. You watch 2027. You watch. Like, okay. I'm skeptical. I gotta tell you. I'm pre-skeptical. Santora, good to see you. And I think about it all the time. Like, oh, hey, the psychopath class just invented a technology that lets them make AI images out of thin air. And oh, they're also going to meet actual real aliens. This is the real problem with AI, is that it means that we will not know what is real or what is fake. That's the real problem. That it's going to get more difficult to figure out what's going on. Because you can basically AI generate, and I've seen several versions of this, you can AI generate like imperialist propaganda and just present it as if it's a guy on TikTok. I've done my research, here's the thing, right? And it really just kind of ends up being throwing shade and like just reinforcing the imperialist narrative. And it's going to get really difficult to disseminate between what is real and what is fake. And they're going to start doing false flag events. Like the Donald Trump assassination attempts, people are very skeptical of them. I make no judgment one way or the other. But like, it is pretty interesting that every single time this guy gets shot at, he just makes one statement and then never talks about it again. Like, I heard a comedian say, Donald Trump can't shut up about Rosie O'Donnell, right? Like, this is a guy who holds a grudge forever. And he's yapping constantly about people from his past, like Rosie O'Donnell. But he's completely clammed up and shut up about the people who actively have tried to kill him. No. Seems suspicious. Seems sus. And so, if it's fake, if they're faking events, right? If they're staging events, right? How long until they just digitize some of this shit? How long until it's just like one news agency will release a video of a drone flying over Lebanon that's been completely destroyed by Israel, right? Just absolutely, Israel has gone through southern Lebanon and just reduced it to rubble the way that they reduced Gaza to rubble, right? And so somebody releases that video. And the very same day, the imperialist propaganda machine releases a video of a drone flying over the same territory, except all the buildings are intact. And they claim that the other side's video is AI and is fake. That these anti-Semites are willing to go any length in order to lie about what's going on. Well, we live here. I live here. I'm in. Look, here I am in the place. And we're just never going to be able to disseminate between what is real or what is fake. We're going to have to rely very heavily on independent voices. It's going to be harder and harder and harder to really find someone you trust. Even now, most people will corroborate. There'll be a lot of corroboration in the conversation. Like, well, this guy says this guy says this guy says this. Okay. There's like a trifecta there. The three people whose voices I am currently really listening to and really paying attention to. John Mearsheimer. I think John Mearsheimer is basically calling it how it is. Jeffrey Sachs. Again, I think Jeffrey Sachs is pretty much calling it how it is. Jeffrey Sachs takes a more moral position. He's much more heavily in the condemnation of what the West is doing. Whereas John Mearsheimer is just telling it how it is, right? He doesn't really grandstand about anything. Like, he'll call the West a ruthless great power, but he won't be like, and what a bunch of assholes about it. He's just like, yeah, they're a ruthless great power. Like, they're going to be cutthroat about what they're doing. So this is what they're doing. And then, of course, Chris Hedges. And Chris Hedges is a great voice because he connects you to other voices. Really. Like, Chris Hedges is just a spider web. Like, anybody who goes on his show, spend a little bit of time and listen to what they have to say. Maybe you don't connect with them in a larger sort of way. And Chris Hedges is actually like the one voice who I've essentially vetted since 9/11. I've essentially been vetting that guy since 9/11. And I only diverge with him on one point. And it's a point that I would actually love to talk to him about. If I were to talk to Chris Hedges, I would never talk politics. I'd be like, look, we see eye to eye politically. In fact, I defer to you in many cases. Chris Hedges believes in something called human nature. I believe that human nature is determined by material conditions. Chris Hedges believes in something called human nature. So in that way, he's in agreement with the capitalists that there is such a thing as human nature. And the nature of humans is predetermined and predecided. While I say that material conditions determine human behavior. And that if we want to change human behavior, we have to change our material conditions. in order to align with the behavior we would like to see. And that's how that actually works. That we've kind of got it the opposite. We've got this inverted way of thinking, like everyone will change their behavior and that will change the environment. I don't think that's the case. I think we have to make a sober assessment and make decisions about what kind of society we want to live in and alter our surroundings in order to get it. Like, I think that is how that works. And if you configure your society so you reward the most crazy psychopathic people in it, guess what you get? Guess what you get? So those would be the three voices that I would always recommend to everybody. I thought that Chris Hedges took on the New Atheist movement, which is kind of becoming somewhat important at this moment because Richard Dawkins is giving himself AI psychosis, talking to AI. When you don't actively make something sacred, you make the mundane sacred. Here it is. We're gonna make AI sacred because we don't have a conception of what sacred is, or we haven't made a decision about what is or is not sacred. We're not actively in a place that is sanctified, so we just default to it. And when we see something that we're like, "Whoa, this is crazy," we like deify it. This is deification. That's what this is. Jacob, the Blue Democrat. Hello, our collective social democrats. We're communists. We are not social democrats. We're communists. I know the words. Russian song that has lots of notes that sound very good when said like this. Yeah. Ooh, come Satan angel. Oh, wow. Come sat angel. No, there's no... the word Satan is in there, my man. You tricked me. Comsat Angel. That's what that says. 3522. Why does Canada have such barbaric laws towards the disabled? Disabled folk can't even fall in love, according to the Canadian government. Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. I used to organize with a trans woman, Isabella Gamk. We would organize and we would shut down streets. We give less support to the disabled in this country than the Americans do. Like, that was a real smack in my face to be like, buh. Oh, Jacob, doubling down. Why are we social democrats? Because we think communism would be nice, but guess what? It's all we can get. I mean, it's all you can get. Are communists useful? Of course, they help us when there's social movements. Yeah. The only reason anything ever happens is because of the communists. Like, anytime you get a concession, it's because of the communists. Every single time. And the communists are the one that pay the price. Like, the first concentration camps were communist concentration camps. There wasn't a black mark, a blackballing of social democrats. there wasn't a black spot put on social democrats. There wasn't an organization that was erected in order to hunt down and destroy social democrats. Like, it's the communists. The communists are the ones they fight against because they know the communists are the ones that are what's required to win. They know that. They're well aware that it's the communists who fight to win, right? Like it's the communists who will actually seize the means of production. It'll be the communists that take over factories. It'll be the communists that set up trade unions. It'll be the communists that do this, right? And there might be disagreement amongst the communists about what to do or how to do it, right? But like, social democrats are the ones who basically stand by and kind of take credit at the end of it all. Are the ones who are just like, oh yeah, we got it in with voting. It's like, yeah, you sure did. Like you sure did. You sure did get it in with voting. After the communists were arrested, beaten, killed in many cases, dismissed from their employment, ostracized from their society, completely blackballed, creating like scandals, big news. People start showing up at politicians' houses, that kind of stuff, right? Like one of the big lessons that I really try, like these guys are cowards. Like they're all just spineless cowards. People showing up at their houses, they would change their tunes. They would change pretty fast. Like I've been saying since the beginning, show up at people's houses. Like we showed up at Doug Ford's house and he moved. Like that's how effective that is. People kept showing up at Doug Ford's house, and so he moved. Like, don't leave these people alone. I don't know why. No, I know why it's difficult for people, because you got to put skin in the game. You got to get serious about it, right? Like, the communists are the ones that are putting it all in. That's what it is. They're the ones that are moving the needle. And like, I don't know why you would settle for let's just try to move the needle a little bit. The needle's going to move, right? I'm not interested in rooting for the very least. Like, I don't know why we're supposed to all stand up and be like, the bare minimum, 1% over 20 years, rah rah. Like, we're just well trained. Like here in the West, we're just really well trained. Like we went through a big indoctrination system right at the beginning of our lives, when we were most vulnerable, when we were our most fertile. We were really jammed through a system that had as a pretty primary objective to turn you into a lockstep supporter of the system that you're a part of. This is the best we can do. This is the best we're gonna do. Like, okay. It takes like 12 years of high school, now 13 in some provinces, and then like 4 years of university, right? And in some cases more, and in some cases you just continue living that way, right? You just continue moving that road. So, okay. So I'm pretty like, I try to be forgiving about it, because there's this like outside of the fascism, right? I was talking about this earlier. Like the infrastructure in the society is actually pretty good, right? You get your snacks, right? You get relatively unhassled. You can kind of go about your life, eat burgers, play video games, right? Walk to a park, walk to the beach, right? Have like a fine little life. Like it's totally fine. But like Everyone's really shitty to each other because fascism is extremely popular. Fascism is extremely popular. People have an extremely fascist outlook in this society. Eugenics is essentially like looks maxing, right? Like they've rebranded all of it as they have always rebranded, and they like when they rebranded fascism neoliberalism, they just like reformed it to be a little bit less racist. Can we still do fascism, but like nice fascism, right? Can we make it so that the subspecies is the poor people, not a minority group, right? Actually, in fact, the majority of people. Can we make it so that it's the poor people? Can we turn this into economic fascism explicitly? Play this like multicultural game. Play this game of like opening up our arms, loving everybody, right? More trans imperialist genociders, right? Like that kind of stuff. But economically, the system is fascist. Mark Carney's most recent announcement. Hopefully this is loaded, yeah. Carney to announce sovereign wealth fund. Like, crack this open, it's just basic fascism. It's just basic. Like, the sovereign wealth fund, what we're going to do is we're going to take your money and we're going to give it to our friends. And we're going to call that a sovereign wealth fund. Oh, and guess what? That's not what a sovereign wealth fund is. So they're just fucking, like, bullshitting you. They're just standing right in front of you with their dick out, being like, yep, my dick's not out. My dick isn't out. Nope, nobody pay attention to that. If you say that my dick is out, then you're ridiculous. What an extremist view to say that my dick is out when it's not. Meanwhile, it's just like flopping around. It's just like right there. That's why, like, commenting on it at this point is like cartoonish. It feels like we're in a real dumb place. But like, I guess we've always kind of been like this, you know? Like humans, we're a bunch of rascals. You look at other creatures, and it's like you see what they get up to. JT writes, it's utter magic to me. Yeah, one of the few things me and my dad just love together too. I don't know really what you're talking about with that, but I agree. Yeah, let's jump down. I want to catch up with the chat. Radio Halifax, good to see you. Hey John, new camera? No sir. Same old, same old. Santora, good to see you. JT, it makes all the real shit equally as alien. Fiddleford writes, this is the exact line. This is about Jacob, the Blue Democrat, right? Is the exact line the officials espouse from the Sock Dems. Have they written some kind of statement? JT writes, fake shit used as evidence of reality and reality rejected as AI. Kevin O'Leary said that data center opposition is likely AI bots. People are going to get so confused. Yeah. And like, come on, guys. Like, the AI data centers are them setting up a digital currency. That's what they're doing. Like, I genuinely don't think, like, I think you'll find a few people who are like fascinated by AI, and when like 100, you'll find like a core nugget of like tech bros that are actually like, AI, let's pursue it. Like, and this is their passion and this is what they want to do, right? Anybody outside of those nerds is trying to figure out, how do we make money out of this? Like, how is this money? How does this put money in my pocket? And a lot of these guys are starting to realize, like, oh shit, these fucking people think money is real. Like, they think the money is the point. Oh, okay. How about we make the money even faker? Right? Like, literally digitize this shit. Like, give it a number on a screen. Let's make it as fake as it possibly can get. How abstract can we make money before it just completely breaks? And they're going to do it. That's what these data centers are all about. It's going to take an enormous amount of data to keep track of the money supply, a digital money supply, no less. Like, it takes, like, it's a job. Like, it's people's job to keep track of this stuff. That's a big reason why government is important. Like, one of the primary functions of the government is just having somebody to write stuff down. Just having somebody who's like, and then this happened. And then this happened. And then this happened. Just having somebody who does that. And I think a big reason why these fascists have always wanted to dismantle and destroy the government is so that the government doesn't have the resources required to just write it down. Just be like, yeah, and then Doug Ford passed a piece of legislation in order to forbid freedom of information requests. Just like literally obfuscating what he's literally standing in front of you being like, we're the most transparent while outright forbidding information getting out. The opposition leader of the NDP literally threatened him to send him to jail. Like, that's a real thing that happened. Margaret Stiles, the leader of the NDP here in Ontario, stood in front of a bunch of cameras and said, hey, Doug Ford, the thing that you're doing, when we take power, we're going to send you to jail over it. I'd love to see that. I'd be a huge fan of that. I'd be a massive, massive, massive fan. Jacob the Blue Democrat, AI is already fooling some people. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I have a religious older relative who's showing me how Jesus was talking to him online when he shows this AI app. Oh, goodness. Yeah, like, AI is going to fool, like, the most diligent person. I've been tricked. I've definitely posted things where I've been like, oh man, check this out. And somebody's been like, this is definitely, like, this is AI. Look at this, right? And it's going to get so that you just don't know. You're going to need, like, AI tools to detect AI tools, basically. Matthew, good to see you. JT writes, come to think of it, my sister gave me Hedges in my Jon Stewart day. Probably the most radical person I first interacted with. Yeah, what's beautiful about Hedges is, like, he's very credible. Like, he's been to these places, he's seen war. He has a theory of human nature. He believes in truth and righteousness and justice. Like, he's fighting the good fight, and he always has. Sort of wild. Like, what a wild life story. Getting let go from the New York Times for speaking out against the Iraq War. Like, that's historic shit. Like, that's, people like that end up in movies and stuff, like civil rights shit. I think it was the book Empire of Illusion. Yeah. It's been such a long time since I've read Empire of Illusion or The Death of the Liberal Class. I thought The Death of the Liberal Class was, like, really, really prescient. And then eventually, like, American fascism. Like, just the documentation of how explicitly fascist the society has really become in many ways. Hull says, yeah, can't have well-behaved poor people. Yeah, it's not happening. JT writes, the irony of him campaigning against trans people, but changing Claude to Claudia is yet another poetic irony of this collapse. That's in reference to our good man Dawkins. I don't know. I don't know how deep I should go into making fun of him for this. Like, it gets weird when you get old. That's pretty clear. Like, it gets weird when you get old. And for good reason. Like, you're living in, like, a decayed shell that you know is going to give out. And, like, that by itself makes things weird. Life has got to be, like, once you hit 80, 90? Life's got to be weird, bro. Like life's got to be so fucking weird. Like you're just letting go of everything. Like you're letting go of it. Reality is just being let go because you're one day you will close your eyes and never open them again. You'll never see this place ever again. You have to let go of it. It's like that's pretty wild. What a wild part of the adventure. And so, like, if Richard Dawkins wants to have like a love affair with an AI robot, right at the end of his life, off you go, bud. Off you go. You enjoy. You enjoy your AI sex robot, Richard Dawkins. I hope that she titillates you and that you find true love in your heart. I really do. I hope that happens for you. Like no shade whatsoever. If this is what it looks like, God bless you, sir. God bless you. Man with the long last name. Yeah, we don't shoot Rosa Luxemburg here. Yeah. Yeah, right. I think I'm actually going to have to emigrate because I was originally planning to order insulin from Canadian pharmacists, but with the fuel prices rising, that might become less viable. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, social democracy, the left wing of fascism. Jacob writes, I respect a lot the communists, but social democrats, unfortunately, were also tortured, like former Chilean and Brazilian female presidents, respectively prosecuted by the 64 dictatorship and Pinochet. Yeah. Like, I mean, indiscriminate would be what I would describe about that. Like, it's just indiscriminate. The takeover by Pinochet was insane. Like, it's an insane thing that we did. It's an insane thing that Pinochet did. I think the most insane part about that story is that when the coup was happening, Allende was actually worrying about Pinochet. The idea that Pinochet would betray him was just not on his radar. It just wasn't part of the conversation. And I think that like ties into something I've said before on this stream, and I'll continue saying, which is that I think more and more nations are sort of wising up. That there was this sort of post-World War II naivete that came about, where nations of the world were getting defeated through imagination. That they just simply couldn't imagine the lengths that the Americans were willing to go in order to enslave your country. They just didn't really get how deep down the rabbit hole the CIA would go and what they would be willing to compromise and who they would be willing to approach, what they'd be willing to try. Right? Like, I think that's really why the CIA was so successful for as long as it was just blindsiding everybody. But it's losing its power, losing its capability. People are wising up. And it's very much like in Deep Space Nine, the Ferengi. There's an episode about the Ferengi where the Ferengi collect with one another and they say, we're making less profits in this quadrant because people are suspicious of us. They're kind of aware that we're shady and that we do backroom deals and that we'll throw people under the bus if it means more money for me. But there's this whole other quadrant through the wormhole where they don't know who we are. And so it'll be a whole quadrant of betrayal and backrooms stabbing. Think of the money we'll make, right? That's basically the CIA, right? That at this stage in the game, if you are the leader of like an African nation, like Ethiopia, right, Nambia, right, and you're not thinking about the CIA, and you're not like actively trying to root out CIA assets in your organization, oh boy, Oh boy, I don't know where you're at. Whenever fascists take power, they try to censor whenever somebody stands up to them. Oh, for sure. Like, to me, I think the genius of what the neoliberals achieved, like, neoliberalism is like an adaptation of fascism, right? But really, what they achieved is they found the conversation to have in order to kind of quash, quell, and silence uh, the economic conversation, the actual conversation that needs to actually happen, which is uh, civil rights, right? Minority rights, trans rights, gay rights, right? Feminism. And they amplified this conversation to such a degree that it completely drowned out the economic conversation. Now the economics have gotten so bad, so outrageous, that it's impossible to ignore. Like, it's a bomb that's gone off. And that's the only reason the conversation has finally pivoted, and that the economics is starting to take over in more serious ways, because the bomb went off. Like, the bomb went off. There's bodies everywhere. Like, you see them standing in the streets, hunched over. Right, you see their tents everywhere. That you can't ignore them anymore. It's not possible. There's too many of them. You can't gently push them out of the frame any longer, and invisibilize them. It's too difficult to. JT writes, Doug Ford gave himself an honorary degree while he's erasing OSAP. Yeah. After buying a personal jet with his lousy smile. Yep. Austin, good to see you. Nilo, good to see you. JT writes, yeah, it's more interesting. This is again about Dawkins. It shows that someone who's actually smart can go down these paths, not just basement dwelling types. I mean, when you get old, everyone's a basement dweller when they're old. You think Dawkins is like going out and about town? Nilo writes, psychosis is another one of those terms that get thrown around mostly by people who are not qualified to give out the diagnosis. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I feel like there's been a infusion of like therapy language that has come into the society, right? That there's like someone, I guess I'll tell this story. This is pretty personal, but I don't know. It's sort of weighing on me. I guess I'll put it here. I'll keep it vague enough. I don't want to out people. There's like somebody in my life who's pretty close, right? Who I've always cared about. And we've always had like a fairly argumentative relationship. But it was one of those argumentative relationships that kind of always came from a place of love. And we had a bit of a falling out before COVID. And went through kind of some difficult times. And we were trying to like reconnect and trying to rebuild the relationship and trying to rebuild the trust and trying to come see eye to eye, right? And I thought it was going well. I really did. Like we were keeping the subject pretty light most of the time, just movies. We're just shooting the shit about like reality TV and like, and you know me, like I'm talking about film and television as like a cultural force. Like it's not enough to be like, for me, it's just not enough to be like, oh yeah, this show, it's good because it has colors and it's fun. I'm like, okay, so it's like an amusement ride for you. There's no sort of deeper introspection or deeper analysis into what this media is, and what it's actually doing. What is the message that it's sending into the society? Like, I could go on about the death of Star Trek forever. Like the slow decay of Star Trek and the death of Star Trek. And this like lumbering corpse that they've put in front of us now. Like, if you go back and watch, like, Next Generation is exactly right. Like, it's exactly what it is. Because the first episode is Q. Q showing up and basically saying, you guys are getting pretty powerful. And your history tells us that you are psychos. Why should we let you live? Like, why should we let you take to the stars at all? Like, we're all powerful gods. We're the Q continuum. We can wipe you out with a snap of our finger. Why should we allow you to gallivant around space? And this episode really sets the scene for what Star Trek kind of is, which is a justification to the audience and to ourselves as humans that, yes, we will be able to do this. We will be able to advance and become an advanced civilization and put warfare behind us, put strife behind us, put scarcity behind us, and actually build a future that is positive and to deal with the problems of the future, to sort of chart up a way forward for humanity, a vision forward for humanity, so that we can even believe that it is possible. Right? The belief of it, the belief of the possibility of it, is so important. So important that we believe that it is possible. Right? But like, modern Star Trek is literally like what a capitalist would think Star Trek would look like. And that's really what it is. It's like capitalist Star Trek. Right? Like, when the writers of Star Trek write Star Trek, they imagine that everybody who is on the show, the characters on the show, they imagine that they're being paid a wage. They just don't talk about it. Right? They imagine that the lieutenants, right, and the hierarchy of command that exists also comes with financial compensation. They just don't talk about it. And like, that's the difference. That when you watch Star Trek, everybody was doing what they were doing because they wanted to, and for no other reason whatsoever. Maybe they had personal reasons and they could tell you about it and had like a personal philosophy about why they act the way they do and why they do the things they do. But if they suddenly decided that they no longer wanted to be on the Starship Enterprise, they could just leave. They'd just be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm good. And of course, like, command would be like, this is a problem. Well, we're definitely going to remember that this is a problem. And maybe they'd be like, okay, yeah, it's worth it. You know, it's worth it for me. And like, that's the type of future I'm interested in. I'm interested in a future where a person can just pursue the thing they want to pursue because they believe that it's correct and they believe it's the right thing to do. Anyway, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, Star Trek. I self-triggered myself. That's what happened there. I need like a red light when they attach to like an audio, an AI audio, that when I say Star Trek, the red light goes off and I go, okay, yeah. So we would have conversations about that kind of stuff. And I would talk that kind of way. And like talk about what I would like to see. What kind of future I would like to see, and what kind of media I would like to see, and what like, liberalism's not good enough. Like, liberal slop is not good enough for me. It's just not. And like, yes, I'm going to mention that superheroes, by their very definition, are at the barest of minimum conservative, right? But most of them are basically proto-fascist. This idea of the Ubermensch, right? We're all weak and they have to come and save us. They are essentially cops. Superheroes exist in total stasis. Like, they are the maintainers of the status quo, right? They, if Superman was backing Donald Trump, he would be a Nazi. Like, he would be an insane Nazi. And so maintaining the status quo, but that's all they do. They have no projects. They have no ideas. They have no thoughts of their own, really. Outside of just like, with great power comes great responsibility. It's kind of like trite slogan. And the only time they become active is when someone threatens the status quo. Like when someone threatens corporate profits, when someone threatens Wayne Enterprises, the heroes activate. Anyway. And this person would get very angry at me speaking this way about movies and television, which I think matter, but they don't matter so much. You should blow up someone's relationship about it. And in the end of it all, she called me a narcissist. And it's this therapy language. Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, you're acting a bit selfish. Like, hey, you're really only thinking of yourself here. Like, that's an action that a person is doing. But to like define someone as a narcissist, like, I can't really have a relationship with a person who thinks that of me. Like, I just can't. How can I? How can I have a relationship with somebody who thinks that of me? Like, it's, you've replaced me with a fabrication of your own creation. Like, that's what it's like. And that's kind of what it's like when people are using this therapy language to try to diagnose and define people with this therapized language. It's like you're inventing an illusion. You're inventing a character. You're inventing something for people to you're inventing something for yourself to be triggered by. And you can invent a narrative. You can create your own story about a person based on this diagnosis that you've made of them. Because really what it's doing is it's otherizing them. Like, that's really what it is. That, like, fundamentally we're all the same organism. We're all the same thing. Like, we're all humans. And we're all experiencing humanity. And we have this, like, psychic connection to one another. There's a vibe. The vibe right now is bad. But when you define someone as like a narcissist, and I suppose I'm guilty of it myself, calling people psychopaths. Oh my god, these guys are fucking psychos though. Holy shit. Nah, I'm sorry, man. Like, these guys are like eating babies and shit. Like, fuck that. Like, fuck that. I'm not inventing anything. Like, if I were eating a baby and someone called me a psycho, and I was like, "Oh, you're defining me and mischaracterizing me," I'd be like, "What? You are literally eating a baby, my man. Like, what are we doing here?" But it otherizes, right? It otherizes. And you can dismiss somebody. You can just say they don't exist anymore. Not really matter. And I don't think I'm alone in this experience. I think that there are plenty of people who are experiencing this kind of thing that exists in the society. It's part of the fascist turn, right? It's part of that. That if you have self-esteem, then you're a narcissist, right? If you stand up for yourself, if you don't think that you should be punished for disagreeing with the mainstream, then you're self-centered and you're a narcissist. Oh, okay. It's been very depleting. Like that experience has been very really took a lot of wind out of my sails, if I have to be honest. And it just feels like anytime I talk to anybody and try to do anything, try to date people, like dating is a disaster, man. Like it's over for me, man. Like it is. It's just over. Like I'm not I'm not asking for a woman's phone number. I'm not chatting her up on these swipe right or whatever. Like it's just over, bro. Like I fully expect it to just be over. That's my expectation moving forward. It would be really wonderful to find a beautiful woman who wanted to talk about culture and politics and go do interesting things together. I would love that. We could go to the theater, we could go to the cinema, we could eat food, we could be naked together and do fun shit and be weirdos. Just kind of like be weirdos together, right? I think that'd be great. But it's just not going to happen, man. Like it's just not a real thing that exists. Like we've created the material conditions in order to ensure it doesn't happen for huge sections, huge sections of the populace. Like at this point, if there was a document that leaked from some like the Fraser Institute or something from some like think tank, and it was completely them just being like, well, yes, if we impoverish them, then they won't be able to have children anymore. And then that will set the population into decline. Like if that came out, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Because that's exactly what they've achieved. It's difficult to believe that it just happened. Especially when it's happening across the board, like it's everywhere. Yeah, and so I just feel like, well, we have somebody over on Twitch, Grand Designs Enjoyer. Hi, why do you talk about humanity as if there's a monolith without psycho individuals that hold together because it's human, not because it's stuck on this prison planet? Your attachment to socialism would be linked to some form of narcissistic. What? Could be linked? I doubt it. So it's such an odd thing to say. Like my attachment to the belief that everybody should have access to food and shelter is attached to narcissism. Like it's weird. It's just a weird thing to think. Grand designs. I prefer to focus on why we are not really the same, and biological reality of belonging to human species is secondary. Are you a giant or average height? I'm average height. I'm average across the board, man. Average height, average weight, average everything. There is not one single physical attribute about me outside of my beard, I think. The beard is definitely above average. Why do I talk about humanity as if there's a monolith without psycho individuals that hold together? Because it's human, not because it's stuck on this prison planet. I don't fully understand your comment. Humanity is a monolith, right? Like we are an organism. We're a life form. We're not very well organized. We're sort of chaotic, right? But when you look at a bunch of cells in a petri dish, they're pretty chaotic. Like there's a lot of chaos in the system, and we're not doing much to organize it, right? Like we're not even trying really to regulate and organize it, so it's extra chaotic for us, and it's gonna completely fuck us over in the end. Like we're not going to easily recover, I think. Like we're gonna fall over, and we're gonna fall pretty hard. And when I first started this stream, I would talk about how like, oh, the building is like this. I would say something like that. Like all I am and all I've ever been is a person looking at the building falling over, pointing at it, saying, "Building's falling." That's it. That's the center core of it. But now, like, sections of it have touched down. Right? Sections of the building have now touched down. And so the building, like, it used to be here, and now it's here-ish. Right? So now we're in this, like, middle process where the building has fallen down and has crashed and is beginning to settle for like 60% of the population. And there's this other section of the population who is like desperately scrambling to make it so that when their section hits the ground, it'll be like a seed planting, right? It'll be like, and they'll be able to grow what their vision of the future should look like on that. And it includes like AI, military robots, the militarization of space. Like these guys are going to go full blown. It's I keep saying it. Like we haven't seen the Adolf Hitler moments yet. Like we haven't gotten like the big speeches that are explicit. We haven't gotten the public acts of violence, state-sponsored violence and terrorism. We haven't really got like they'll do that, but it's all kind of clandestine. ICE is a sort of a new iteration of it because now they're just doing it all so openly. And there'll be a turn of the corner where all of the quote-unquote mainstream media will be pro-government and pro what the government is doing. And it will, like, take a look at how Trump is treating, like, Jimmy Kimmel. The softballist of the softballs. And just imagine, like, oh yeah, like, they'll just send goon squads to Jimmy Kimmel's place and disappear him. And that's what will happen to a guy like Jimmy Kimmel. Like, that's what your future is going to look like. And they'll just be explicit about it. Like there's not going to be any hiding. And they'll do their salutes and they'll film it and they'll put it in public and they'll say this is what we are, this is what we're doing. Like it's coming, man. It's coming. And it's going to be big and it's going to be bold, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be American. It's going to be hyuckles and hyuck all the way down, dude. It's going to be an absolute cavalcade of a shit show. Right now, we're just in sort of like Trump mumbling dementia mode. Like, it's going to get really, really, really fucking interesting when this guy dies. Then it's just going to go fucking crazy, man. Like, it's going to be real. Oof. Like, there's going to come a moment when the cap blows off. Ooh, that's going to be wild. Once the masks are gone, once it's all explicit, and like, I'll see videos of like an elderly black man, and he'll be talking about how like, oh, there's all this fascism and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's how it's always been for black people. It's always been that way. They're just treating you how they've always treated us now. Do you get it? Do you get it now? And it's just going to be explicitly done. Do what you're told, shut up, hit you with a stick, put you in a cage, fuck around and find out. Man with the last name. Oh yeah, Jacob. Yeah, I have a Republican friend, but whenever they talk about Israel, I just shut up to avoid conflict. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just so naked, right? Like, it's just so naked. It couldn't be more obvious. You really do only have two choices, which is just be delusional about Israel, or just be open about it and still agree, right? Like, fascism is pretty straightforward. Like, we're big and we're strong, and if they don't want to get beat up by us, then they should get big and strong too. That's it. Like, what are you going to do about it? And so, silencing yourself in order to avoid conflict, yeah, it's means it's working. Man with a long last name. I feel like there is some common thread between psychopathy and what goes on in the brain of a billionaire. It's just that billionaires are that way on purpose, while psychopaths can be decent people. Yeah, anytime we've studied the issue, like, the more wealth you get, the more detached from reality and the more psychopathic you get. Pretty straightforward. Yeah. Grand Designs. Libs hate ICE but love Zelensky and ignoring terror squads that hunt men and dissenters for the Ukrainian military conscription quota. I think my favorite thing about the Ukrainian, like the Ukrainian military and our media, is that we just can't seem to take a picture of anybody in Ukraine without them having like a Nazi symbol displayed. Like, any time there's a news article released about Ukraine, inevitably there's a photo in the article that's like got a soldier with like straight up a Nazi symbol. Just like, yep, here it is. Here's the Iron Eagle. Like, here's the SS symbol. Here's the Death's Head. Right? The Black Sun. Okay. It's just weird. You'd think there'd be one. You think there'd be a picture where it just like is a guy and he's just standing there and being a soldier. But no, there's always like some Nazi shit around. It's just weird that they can't take a picture of these guys without that Nazi symbolism popping up. Like the Bubble Bobble acapella, nice change from the pace. I could use a change of pace right now, I tell you what. JT writes, sadly, the alienation from each other is increasing across the board. Yeah, but of course, for some, it'll hit even harder for sure. Nilo, hashtag Doomer Gooner. Better to love and lose than to give up on love. Yeah, like you can only experience so much. You can only take so much. There's only so much that you can reasonably ask a person. Like you can only get burned so often before it's just like what is this even for? Like what are we even doing here? Man with the long last names, narcissists generally want to be special. Socialism makes that harder, so it might not necessarily appeal to narcissists, except for me because I'm special. JT, we are a species. That's for sure. Nice. Annoying. There's too much to lose now. If your love doesn't work out, you're going to be really down materially. Yeah, I mean, I think the fundamental problem with dating at the moment um, is that it's a material risk for both parties. We've created a society where you have to stabilize yourself by getting a roommate and by like really like pinching your pennies. People are living paycheck to paycheck, right? They don't have a lot of excess capital to like go blow on stuff. If they go do something, they've got to kind of plan for it every single time. And both parties are doing exactly that. Like men and women are doing exactly that. In this, we have found equality with one another. Uh, and so to start dating someone new, start dating a person, is to essentially say, I'm going to blow this shit up. Like, I'm going to blow up this relationship and this life that I have with this roommate person and take a big, giant risk. And it's an enormous risk. Like, it's an enormous risk because both of you are basically going to have to break up with your roommates, right? Break up with that relationship, put them in a difficult position, right? And then what if you like move in together, right? And it doesn't work out. Holy shit. Like, that's a real problem. I actually I've spoken to people who like broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they kept living together for like a year because it took fucking forever for any kind of for them to be able to move on from it financially, materially. So it's just like a trauma from the beginning. And like you're living with roommates. Both of you are living with roommates or your parents, right? So like how does romance happen? Where is the romance? When does that occur? Right? Under what circumstances? There's this just like everybody on top of one another kind of reality happening. So it's just like it's insane. It's an insane ask. And the solution that we've come up with, the capitalist innovation we've come up with, is swipe on a screen. Oh my god. Can't possibly imagine why these relationships aren't lasting. Can't possibly imagine why a relationship based on a picture that you liked and a blurb. I like The Princess Bride. And you're like, oh, you know what? I too also like The Princess Bride. Hey, I saw on your profile that you like The Princess Bride. Yeah. This is the foundation of your relationship. Yeah. Tough to understand why things aren't working out for people. And I'm just out of energy for it. Like I'm out of energy for it. And I really find myself asking myself, like, what, why? Why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this? Like, like huge sections of the populace can't read. huge sections of the populace aren't going to try to have the conversation I'm having now with me. Like, enormous sections of the population. I've had so many times where I've just like been talking about politics with a woman, and I can see that she's just like shutting it down. It's like, oh, okay. Like, this is who I am. I'm going to talk about these things. I'm going to talk about the reality I live in. I have opinions. I have thoughts. It just seems like others don't. Really. And there's this like vibes-based philosophy, basically. Everything's done on vibes, more or less. I have a good feeling about this. Oh, okay. Jacob writes, some people see everything and knows what's going on in Gaza, but still have the courage to boast about it. Yeah. Yeah. Like, we've got psychos, man. Like, there are people in the conversation. Like, when polled, the majority of people in Israel think that the Gaza genocide is good. And it's not like a small minority. It's not like a 51%. Like, it's like 70, 80%. Some polls 90%. Of the populace basically being like, yeah, fuck these guys. There's this documentary called Gaza Fights for Freedom. Abby Martin released it, I think, back in like 2019. I showed it on the stream once. And in it, she like walked around the streets of Israel and was like interviewing people in Israel, being like, hey, what do you think about the Palestinians? What do you think about the genocide, about what's going on in Gaza? And she found tons of people who were just like, yeah, we should just destroy these guys. We should just wipe them out. They just need to be wiped out. Straight up, just like the most casual genocidal rhetoric to a stranger with a microphone. Yeah, we should wipe these guys out for sure. Yeah, there's no other. And sometimes they get people who be like, it's unfortunate. I don't like it, but you know, it is what has to happen. We've got to do that. Jeez Louise. Like, geez. What do you even do about this? What do you even make of this? What do you even think about this? And because human behavior is determined by material conditions, it's like really clear that the reason why Israel acts the way it acts is because it knows, it feels like it's under threat, because it is, because it's a colony, right? It's a settlement project. And so, of course, it's under threat. It's under threat by the people that you're trying to eradicate. But they can act with total impunity because there's no such thing as punishment for them. They never face any serious consequences. Nobody actually says to them, hey, like, if you do this, it's going to be like really bad for you. You know, the only people who finally did it was Iran. And Iran just dropped a bunch of fucking bombs on these guys. It's tough for me to like, oh well, both sides, and the Revolutionary Guard of Iran has a long history, and like, well, the Ayatollahs, they do some tough stuff. But there's some tough stuff that happens in Iran. All right, I'm sure there is. Like, I'm sure there is. Like, what Israel has done and what it is continuing to do is unforgivable. Like, it's just unjustifiable. It's indefensible. You cannot defend it. And so eventually they just won't. Right? They're not really trying to defend it anymore. They're just basically saying, like, yeah, we're going to do this. This is how we roll, baby. This is how the West is. This is how the West was won, baby. This is how it happened. Right? When we landed in North America, it was all First Nations people here. Where are those First Nation people now? We keep them in reserves, like they're a zoo exhibit. shard of a bygone era. Just a people who are completely displaced and fractured. And we just decided to kind of keep them around, I guess. Like, there was a moment during the settlement of North America where white Westerners were just shooting bison. They were just going around shooting bison and buffalo. Just like absolutely eradicating them. We've got pictures of piles and piles of bison skulls just piled up. And they did it explicitly because they were like, this is the Indians' food source. This is how we get them. We starve them out. Like, it was always genocidal right from the beginning, and we never stopped. We never stopped. We just expanded and expanded. We had one big catastrophe, World War I and World War II, right? Where we had to slow down our insane genocidal, but even then we didn't. We just kind of pivoted, right? It's like the Eye of Sauron, just like gazing at where it wants to send the genocide, right? Basically, like, and the only reason why World War II seems to be a big note for the West is because it was a moment when the Eye of Sauron turned on its own self and like scoured everything. Grand Design Enjoyer. What are your thoughts on the new project involving spa and mega public baths in Toronto? The name is Therm Toronto. Yeah, you know what I think about that? The Met Gala happened. 2026. A full recap of the jaw-dropping red carpet looks from Beyonce, Bad Bunny, Blake Lively, and more. Simone knows how to Vogue. This is a thing that happened, everyone. Look at the fashion. Look at the style. Look at the beauty. The artistry. Right? Look at how wonderful it is. Look at how extravagant. Look at how much money they're spending. Look at how much money they're spending. How are you going to afford that? You're going to afford that. You want food and shelter taken care of? How are you going to afford that, you think? I love this video because it gives you an outside view of what this actually looks like. Try to imagine there's like a homeless tent somewhere when you watch this, right? Like, it just definitely gives you the pure dystopian vibes. Like, this is Hunger Games shit right here, isn't it? Like, this is a clip from the Hunger Games, right? How are we gonna pay for it, you guys? How's that gonna work out? It's so super important that we spend all this money to make sure this guy wears this outfit right now, and that we spend all this money to build a structure for them to stand in it so we can take pictures of them. Right? Oh, big scandal too. Both Jenner sisters are rocking faux nipples at the Met. Oh, gasp. Goodness me. Anne Hathaway's Met gown was hand-painted, you guys. It's so important that this exists and that we look at it collectively and then repeat the mantra, we can't afford that. Super important. Yeah, I want peace. I want peace, all the celebs. Yeah, when the rich say they want peace, what they mean is they want capitulation. They want you to surrender. They don't want you to actually like have a decent life. They can't afford that. Right? They gotta fund the Met Gala here, goddamn. Like there's There's important clothing to be made and displayed ostentatiously in a grotesque display of their wealth publicly. Like, you know how I just said they will do like public acts? This is one of them. Like, this is one of them. This is them looking you dead ass in the face, wearing dresses that cost $1 million. The whole thing is costing tens of millions of dollars for sure. Like, what makes the whole conversation as grotesque as it gets is when you actually see what the budget for movies is. Like, Avatar is making like billions of dollars. Like, there are movies that make like billions of dollars. And we're just sitting here being like, how are we going to afford it? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, what are we even on about? Yeah, one single of those pictures have more money than I'll ever have, yeah. But they earned it. They earned it. We have a first-time chatter who's replying to Grand Designs and Joiner. Bugman Billy. Solid name, bro. Solid name. Bugman Billy. I like it. No, it was a critical part of the genocide of the indigenous American people, removing their means of sustenance. Yeah. Yeah, that's a correct clarification. Like, they were explicit about it. Like, they talked about it. This is one of the things that really clarified the quote-unquote Uyghur genocide for me, which is one of these things that's still lurching around. I still see clips of it. I still see people trying to uphold it. Like, there's no such thing as a secret genocide. There's no such thing as a genocide that happens in super duper secret and nobody knows about it. Like, you don't have to really hunt it down, you know? Like, it's pretty straightforward when it's happening. It's a major cultural project. Committing a genocide is an enormous, major human cultural project. Like, you have to dedicate resources to it. You have to mobilize people. You have to organize. You have to discuss it. Right? There's no such thing as like a holistic, everybody just go with the vibes and start genociding people. Like, that's not how it works. They organize and they plan it. And the only way to organize and plan it is publicly. Right? You have to have a talk about it. You have to vote on things. You have to agree on stuff. I feel this way about what they call the Holodomor. It's like, oh, okay, so like we opened the Soviet archive, like we've opened it, so the narrative should be pretty clear, right? Like you can't move hundreds of tons of grain away from a populace on purpose through vibes. Right? There needs to be orders, there needs to be discussions, people need to talk about it. And like, the people who are committing the genocide feel that they're right. So they feel that they have no need to hide it. Right? And what did we find when we opened up the Soviet archive? Nothing. In fact, the opposite. You see a lot of officials being like, God damn, we gotta get grain into this place. Holy fuck. Some shit's going down. Right? And it's the same thing with this Uyghur genocide. It's like, where is it? Can I see it? And so when it comes to the eradication of the bison in order to starve out the First Nations people, yeah, they were pretty open about it. They discussed it. They offered rewards to people. There were like bounty rewards. Just like, get fucked. Yeah, they literally posed proudly with the mountains of bones. Yeah. Jacob writes, is it true the Soviets lost a war to Afghanistan? The Russian-Afghanistan war is a bit more complex. I don't know nearly enough about it to speak with authority on it, but the kind of trite, like the Russians invaded for expansionist reasons into Afghanistan and then lost the war and were forced to retreat. It's like I don't know that I completely buy that idea. Like, I think it was a bit more complex. There was a little bit more going on than that. But again, I can't speak too much with authority. I just don't see any reason to believe what the imperialists have to say about anything anymore. John H., good to see you. Hey, comrades, does anyone have a decent resource / link disproving the Uyghur genocide? I wouldn't know where to find good sources against the propaganda. So, this is the thing, John, is like you can't prove a negative, right? It's up to the person making the claim to provide the evidence to show you the Uyghur genocide, right? And you don't need like a link, right? You just need to say, "Can I see it? What's happening?" Like, can I see it? And if they can't provide you any evidence, and when they do provide you evidence, it's like very shaky. Very, very shaky. Like, it's amazing how often, like the BBC will really rely on just a soundtrack going, dong, 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 to like really spook you, really get you in a like, oh kind of place, while they like really pump up. I did on my stream, you can find it on my channel, rather, you can find it. I did a criticism of the Uyghur genocide narrative that was being pumped out by the BBC. The Chinese agreed to allow a British film crew into the vocational centers that they had set up. You can find my criticism. It's pretty rough, but it's there. You search Uyghur on my channel, you'll find it. So you can. I'll never forget, man. Like they sent this film crew in to a vocational center, and they just refused. All you got to do to promote this narrative is just not actually tell people what's going on in the region, right? Don't actually give the Chinese side of the story. And what's crazy is that one of the craziest moments of this documentary, of this propaganda piece, was that they were speaking with the Ministry of Propaganda, the Chinese Ministry of Propaganda. They sat down and they had like a whole interview with them. And they showed maybe the answer, like a small snippet of like one question that they asked this guy. And that's all they showed. So they literally have an interview with this guy that they cut one slice out of. And I'm just like, just release this interview. Because what this guy is going to tell you is that there is a terrorist organization that operates in the Xinjiang province. Here, bud, you know what? It's been a long time since I've done this, so let me be your guide. Clip this. Get ready. Buckle up. Here you go. I'm going to spill the beans about the whole story as best as I can. In 2016, in the Xinjiang province, one of the outskirt provinces of China, a poorer province, without a doubt. In 2016, China found in the mountains of Xinjiang essentially infinite thorium. Thorium is like uranium. It's not as potent, but if you have infinite amounts of it, you can use it to fuel reactors. So the Chinese immediately, once they discovered this thorium, immediately set about researching, developing, and building thorium reactors, for which they're having quite a bit of success. The Xinjiang province is also home to one of the central hubs in what's called the Belt and Road Initiative. This Belt and Road Initiative is a series of high-speed rails, essentially matching up with what you're seeing on the screen right here. Right? Just veins across China all over the place that go into Mongolia, into Russia, into Belarus, into Poland, Germany, France. It also goes up into Kazakhstan, down into Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and into Iran, through into Istanbul, then Bulgaria, and again into Europe. This high-speed rail can go between 200 and 600 kilometers per hour. It is the most advanced train system that exists in the world today. It was built over the course of about 20 years, starting in about 2009. Iran is currently sending China a boat ton of oil through the rail system in order to avoid the conflict that's happening at the Strait of Hormuz. This rail system centralizes in the Xinjiang province. So, the American empire has a lot of reasons to want to destabilize the Xinjiang province. It is the source of a major new discovery for power. It is the source of, it is a central hub for a major distribution network that the Chinese have developed. Xinjiang is also home to 150 ethnic groups. It's a very multicultural province, which has been acknowledged by the Chinese government in their constitution. The Uyghur Muslims are facing a difficult time at the moment, globally, because Americans bomb the shit out of them constantly. Bomb the shit out of them constantly. Have you noticed? The war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the current war in Iran. Have you noticed? Like, it's a bit quaint and charming, frankly, that I'm meant to believe that the imperialists really care about Muslims in China. That's the part about this whole Uyghur genocide narrative that I'm a bit like the audacity, the caucasity. Like, how dare you even attempt to convince me that you give two shits about Muslims? Like, how dare you bring this to my doorstep? How dare you force me to investigate this and spend time and effort looking into this subject when it's very clear that you don't give a fuck about Muslims at all. Like really, that's the end of the conversation. Like, the imperialists stand up and say, Uyghur Muslims in China are being abused. And we say, you don't give a fuck about Muslims. You're obviously liars. Fuck you. And that's it. But because I'm a communist and because I like to know what's going on, I went a little bit deeper. Because of all of these wars, right? Hey, look, see Afghanistan? You notice how Afghanistan is right there? Hey, check this out. There's a little corridor here. Yeah, in Afghanistan, right? There's their capital, Kabul. Here's a mountainous region, right? Well, look at this. There's actually a corridor here. It's called the Wakhan Corridor. There's a park here, the Wakhan National Park. And I bet you, if you were fleeing some kind of war, you were fleeing some kind of conflict that was happening in the region caused by, I don't know, the Americans, you might actually flee into the mountains. Look, mountains. tons of mountains, right? And hey, look where this is. My goodness. There be Xinjiang. So what you have in the province of Xinjiang and across the mountains in China are people fleeing from war and attempting to build something of a life in their war-torn circumstances. There are people living in those mountains who have never lived a day outside of war. They have never read a book. Like, they've never watched TV seriously. They live in the mountains. They are hill people. A lot of them are just religious fanatics. Like, there are clips where you're talking to these guys, and a lot of them are just like, yeah, I'm going to commit jihad and martyr myself for the glory of Allah and go to heaven. Like, and it's just straight. Like, it's just straight talk. And you're like, oh, okay, so we've got a problem, right? What makes this even worse is that there's a terrorist organization, a separatist organization that operates in Xinjiang called the East Turkmenistan Independence Movement. And like, here's Turkmenistan. I think this whole area should be an independent state. America has a enormously huge, long history of funding separatist movements within countries in order to destabilize them and install their own leadership. We've seen them do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. They're currently doing it in Alberta, here in Canada. If you don't think America tries to destabilize countries through independence movements, I don't know what to tell you. XZ is correct. Turkestan. Thank you for the correction, friend. Turkestan. You're correct. Correct. Yeah, listen to XD in the chat. Yeah. He always clarifies me when I make errors, which is getting more common, frankly. Oh, reality. Okay, anyway, back to the story. So there's a terrorist organization operating in the Xinjiang province that is funded by the Americans, backed by NATO. Common, normal shit that America always does 100% of the time. They will do things like go into subway systems with machetes and behead 100 people. Like, they'll do that. That's a real thing that they'll do. If that happened in your city, that happened in your community, you would goddamn expect your government to respond to it. You would expect there to be security measures. You would expect there to be a crackdown. You would expect it. If 100 men went into my subway system and beheaded a bunch of people with machetes, and nothing was done about it, I would assume that the leaders of my country were in on it. That's what I would assume. I would have to. Like, oh, you're doing nothing? Oh, then you're somehow benefiting from this. Are you funding it? Like, you're backing it, obviously. And so China does. They crack down on it. They arrest people. China has prisons. Did you know? But China also says, okay, we've got a problem here. We've actually got a big social issue. There's a big social problem happening. There's a whole bunch of refugees who have fled from Afghanistan and other places, Muslims, who are living in the mountains. And they're easy to pick off by these terrorist organizations. A group like the East Turkestan Independence Movement can just sweep through the mountains and scoop people up and, hey, for the glory of Allah, and hey, do you want to do something to benefit the Muslim people? Right, let's go. So what are we going to do about it? Like, what's the solution? I know what the American solution is. Go in there and bomb the shit out of them. Right? That's the American solution every single time. Round them up, put them in cages. We've seen the photos that are coming out of the concentration camps that exist along the border. Like, we know what's going on in America. It's pretty straightforward, right? So what China decided is, well, instead of just like arbitrarily rounding people up the way Americans do, and the way, you know, Europeans have historically, we're going to set up vocational schools. The point of these schools is so that people who are illiterate, have never slept in a bed, they can come to the school and they can be given like basic skills. They can learn the local language. They can be shown like what our society looks like and what the expectations of integrating into the society are. We can give them a skill or a trade even, so that they can economically integrate into the society more easily. And lots of people opt in, right? Lots of people opt in. Jacob says, wow, so the Turkic people stretch all the way from Turkey into China. Yeah, the Ottoman Empire, baby. The Ottoman Empire, baby! And what the Americans and the West, the BBC is part of it, so it's the West generally, have done is that they have taken these vocational schools and they have attempted to use them as a striking point to say that, oh, they're doing a cultural genocide like the residential schools. This is where the genocide is happening, right? It's all being done clandestinely. The BBC even sends a film crew into one of these vocational schools. My favorite moment, because one of the through lines throughout the whole thing is that the Chinese are like, yeah, this is all voluntary. Like, these people come to these vocational schools because they want to, and if they want to leave, then they can leave. And the film crew is just like, there's absolutely no way this is the case. These people are obviously prisoners. They've just, like, I think, convinced themselves. And my favorite moment of the whole documentary, if you want to call it a documentary, is that at the end, they set up a film camera and they film the entrance to the school. And when class lets out, the students wait at the security point because there's fucking terrorists around that are beheading people with machetes, so they're going to have security. Right? Like, if I leave my Muslim friends to go be trained by the Chinese, they might follow with machetes. So yeah, please have some security. Sure enough, the students, they all wait at the security checkpoint. A bus pulls up. They all get onto the bus. The bus leaves, goes to some other checkpoint. The BBC follow them. And they watch all of the students leave the bus and go off into the city to live their lives. It's just like, what a genocide. What an insane, crazy genocide where the prisoners are taught how to speak Chinese. The BBC literally films them singing songs and speaking to each other in the Uyghur language. So the whole idea that they're trying to culturally eradicate them is garbage. They're teaching them Chinese because it's the local language. That would be like saying, like, I am currently training to teach English as a second language right now. That would be like saying, I am trying to culturally eradicate people by trying to get people to learn the word apple and be able to count money in our language. Like, it's crazy. It's just a crazy position to hold. And my absolute favorite, and I adore it because it's so ubiquitous, is that they'll give you this narrative of how there's this genocide, right? And they'll show you the top of a building, right? With spooky music. Here's where it happens. Spooky music. So they've got satellites that can like read street signs. Like they'll show you a picture using one of these satellites. And they'll be like, this is where it happens. And it's like, you're claiming that they're killing like millions of people. You have a satellite. Show me the bodies. Like, where's this mass grave? You can't just disappear 8 million people. It's not a real thing that you can do. Like, it just isn't. There just comes a point where the scope and scale of what you're discussing would be observable. And we'd be able to actually see it. And so that's more or less what's happening in the Xinjiang province. That the people of China are dealing with a refugee crisis, and they decided to open a series of vocational schools to give those refugees the opportunity to integrate economically into Chinese society. Under the theory that if they have this lifeline, then they won't turn to terrorist organizations. Right? If you give them a little bit of prosperity and you give them access and you integrate them into the economic system, they won't be willing to blow it up. What a genocide, man. And then you compare that to like Gaza or southern Lebanon, where we've got like straight up like a guy just walking around with a video camera, a guy flying a drone over it with a camera, and it's just buildings leveled, total fucking destruction. And what really gives lie, like what really absolutely blows apart the Uyghur genocide narrative is that you can go on YouTube and you can just type in like Xinjiang province walk around video, and you'll find videos of guys just like walking around with a camera in Xinjiang. Right? And they'll just walk around. And occasionally they'll find like a security checkpoint, right? Because there's fucking guys with machetes decapitating people, funded by the United States military. And then they'll go through the checkpoint and they'll just like carry on. And they'll like film it. Everything's fine. Nobody's having a tough time. I mean, I've played videos of people walking around cities in Xinjiang, and I've been like, this is like my home city. This is like Winnipeg. Like, it's a smaller community. There's not so many big buildings. Like, it's not ostentatiously rich, but it's not grindingly poor either. Like, it's kind of in the middle. And and that's like fine. Like, what are we supposed to fucking launch a war about this? Or what are we supposed to do about this? What's the big story? So it's so obviously just fake. Something like 100 Muslim nations have, not 100 is crazy. Dozens of Muslim nations have repudiated this claim that there's a Uyghur genocide happening in Xinjiang. Like the same nations that are literally like, hey, that's a genocide in Gaza for sure, are like, yeah, that's not this thing that's happening. No, they're dealing with a tough situation, and it is a tough situation. It's a tough situation caused by the Americans, and the reason why the Americans don't listen to what these Muslim nations say is that fundamentally they don't care about Muslims. So the idea that they would care about Muslims in China is just adorable. It's just as quaint as it gets. Just a real sweetheart, like, oh, baby, kind of moment. Oh, that's cute. That's cute that you're trying to convince us you care about Muslims. What a sweetie you are. What a sweetie petite. I'll give you a little peck on the cheek. Mwah. Like, you'll find videos of like travel people walking around in Xinjiang and just like stopping Uyghur people and like talking to them, being like, hey, we're getting news that there's a genocide here, and people are, what are you talking about, bro? XD says Uyghur, Tatars, Tajiks, Uzbeks, Turkmens, Kyrgyz, Kazakhs, and much more. Yeah, into Eastern Europe. Yep, probably North Africa. The Ottomans descended from the Seljuks. Their name comes from their founder named Osman. Ottoman is the European name for them. Yeah, the Europeans messing things up again for everybody, man. Just like, you're Indians. I love that Louis C.K. bit. Yeah, we landed in the United States, and we said to the people who were living there, "Oh, hey, this is India, right? You're Indians." And they went, "No, we're not. This isn't India. We're not Indians." And we went, "You're Indians." Yeah. No, we're Osmans. Ottoman is fine. Like, when I was growing up, I thought an Ottoman was just a footrest. That's what it always was. They were just like Ottoman. JT says, I saw that building. It had a fence. Spooky and looked modern with AC and such. They aren't calling it Alligator Alcatraz themselves. Yeah, and most they'll find a comprador like Yeonmi Park for North Korea. No real representation. Obviously curated. And like, stupid. Like at this point, and here's the big thing that I say over and over again, right? And I just say it over and over again to remind people, right? You cannot orchestrate a genocide in secret. It is just not a thing that you can do. Like, it's not possible. First of all, the people who orchestrate genocides believe that what they're doing is right. And so they don't think that there's need for secrecy. Right? They believe that they're doing the correct thing. So why would they be secret about it? Problem two is just the scope and scale of organization. Like, when the Nazis orchestrated the Holocaust, they spoke about it openly, they voted on it in their parliaments. It's on the record, it's historically documented. When the Canadians committed the cultural genocide against the First Nations people, they voted on it in Parliament. They spoke about it openly, they organized it, they planned it, and they executed it. It's on the public record. When the Americans committed the genocide against the First Nations people, while simultaneously enslaving the black population of Africa, they spoke about it very openly. They planned it, they orchestrated it, they voted on it. They set bounties, they rewarded people for doing it. There's no debate to be had about it. It's on the public record. You can see it. Very easy to find, in fact. When the Israelis committed the genocide against the Gazans, against the Palestinians, they were very open about it. They voted on it, they organized it, they planned it, they executed it. It's on the public record. You can find it. It's not hard to find. And yet when it comes to the Uyghur genocide that is supposedly happening, we can't find a single Chinese official anywhere at any level of government saying anything negative, untoward, bad, or incorrect towards the Uyghur people, let alone creating a policy to commit a genocide against them. The absolute worst that you can possibly do, and another stream, I don't like to denigrate streamers, other streamers really, but Bad Empanada did a video about some of this the leaks regarding security to in this region, and it essentially amounted to like, if they abused this, that'd be crazy. It's like, yeah, like, of course it would be crazy if they abused it. You have evidence that they're abusing it? Like, you think that they're not, like, what got leaked was their plan for security in the region. And people were like, and people like Bad Apanada essentially were like, oh, this is security in the region. That's the start of it. It's like, not really. Like, if you're running a government, you're running security. Like, you need security services. Just life, baby. Like, when Jean-Luc Picard picks his security specialist, he picks a fucking Klingon. Here's a guy who is like, diplomacy, let's hear everybody out, negotiate, discuss, hear all sides, investigate all channels, don't jump to conclusions, hear everyone out. And you know who he's got in the pocket? Ready to go if shit gets real and you gotta throw down? He's got a motherfucking Klingon. A guy from a race of people who are still determining who gets to be the leader based on single-armed combat. There's a great episode of Star Trek where Worf's wife or girlfriend is killed by the captain of a Klingon ship, and he teleports from the Enterprise to the Klingon ship with a weapon. All of the other Klingons immediately like stand up and confront him and are like, what the fuck, bro? And he dead ass just says to them, while pointing at the captain, he killed my mate. And literally, silently and instantly, all the Klingons stepped back, handed their captain a weapon, and watched as Worf killed that captain in front of all of them. And they all said, this is how it should have been. And when Worf teleported back over to the Enterprise after cold-bloodedly killing a man, Jean-Luc Picard said of it, this was an internal matter. The Prime Directive forbids me from intervening. That's the guy he's got on his guns. If you don't think you need a guy like that on your guns while you're dealing in global politics, go back to Liberal Town. Go clutch your pearls and go hug your babies. You need a fucking Klingon warrior. That's what I always hated about next iterations of Star Trek, dude. Like, Odo was great as security because he was more like a cop. But then, like, every security guy after that was just like some stuffy British guy, right? Some dude. At one point, there was like a Vulcan, I guess, which makes sense, like cold-blooded. You know, you got to make logical decisions, I suppose. But it's like, nah, bro. The guy you want on your guns is fucking the guy who's literally like, arming torpedoes, Captain. Let's go. Like, I'm here. And you need the captain to be like, well. Like, if I were to make a season of a Star Trek show, I would make sure for sure I would make the security guy just like a reckless Texan. Absolutely, just the most reckless Texan, dude. Just a dude who's literally like, Cap, we're here. We're up. We are fired up. We're ready to go. Let me know. Moment's notice. The captain will be like, yep, got it, bud. Got it. Just a dude who in his spare time goes skeet shooting, you know? Like a guy who's straight up just like the best thing in life is shooting a gun. For sure. all I do is shoot a gun. That's what I'm doing. He's just constantly calibrating weapons and calibrating shit, and just like. I even have a great scene. I think that there would be a great scene to be had between this reckless Texan and the captain, where the reckless Texan is kind of like, he's not in uniform, he's not abiding by protocol and all this kind of shit, and the captain comes to him and is like, hey man, like you need to, and the security guy just dead ass looks at him and says, hey yo, look, they sent me here to fix your mistakes. I'm here to kill whoever you fuck up. That's what I'm here to do. So I'm gonna go have some drinks and party and enjoy my life until I gotta come and kill the people you fuck up with. Leave me alone. Gotta clean up the dialogue a little bit. It's not quite accurate. But like, straight up a security guy who understands that his job is to kill everybody after the captain fucks everything up. And just like anytime he's in the room, he's just like, here to go, here to party. Let's ride. Finger on the button, Captain. And like, you need that guy. You absolutely need that guy. And if you don't think you need that guy, you're fucking living in La La Land. And so imagine that guy writing up his security details and what he thinks we need to be doing to protect ourselves. Well, those documents surfaced. And a guy like Bad Empanada looks at them and goes, whoa! Like, yeah, I bet these documents exist. They better. Like, they better. Like, sorry, they better. Like, if somebody abuses this, it's like, okay, show me a case where it has. Like, I won't deny that there's probably corruption that happens. Like, let's be real. Like, humans are humans. But, like, you can't show me anything on the scale of, like, the concentration camps that we are seeing coming out of the United States. There's nothing even remotely close. The best you've got is Muslims going to school. Well, there's wire on the fence. I bet there is. Like, I fucking bet there is. Oh, they got cameras. I bet they do. Like, I bet they fucking do. It's just so weird that there's so clearly and obviously a double standard. Like, oh, they've got a fence with high wire. It's like, yeah. Like, so, sorry, they just built it. They didn't have time to install the hedge that you do. Yeah, the Americans have the highest prison population in the world. Like, it's not even close. Like, it's not remotely close. So the idea that we should be listening to these guys when it comes to these sorts of issues, just clown shoes, man. Like, it's just clown shoes. Like, really, I just circle back around to the very first thing I mentioned, which is really, when it comes to the Uyghur genocide narrative and the Uyghur genocide story, you can actually say, imagine believing Americans care about Muslims and just moving on. Like, really. You can take everything that I just told you. I've been talking now about this for at least 20 minutes, which I'm glad that we're revisiting, because it's just so stupid. It's nice to go through it again. But you can take all of that, you can take this whole video, here's your clip, and you can distill it down really. Just imagine Americans giving a shit about Muslims. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, right. And that's it. You don't need a big argument. It'd be like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Django Unchained. Him suddenly being very concerned about the well-being of some other slaver's black slave. That's kind of what it's like. It's like, yeah, we know you're being disingenuous. Like, we know that you're bullshitting us. You've literally spent the last 50 years just carpet bombing Muslims. Like, please spare me. Spare me. Nilo says, is the Great Firewall a factor here as far as why we can't dispel the issue? So part of what makes the Tiananmen Square story has a similar sort of thing, is that China's philosophy when it comes to dealing with American propaganda and American intelligence operations, you want to call this intelligence, is not to be confrontational about it, is to not fight back, right? Like, China has very recently made some very stern statements towards America in regards to Israel. It's taken like a straight up literal genocide and a war in Iran, like a huge catastrophe in this region, for China to finally be like, we disagree with the choices that you are making in the region, and we hope that we all strive together for peace. That's the level of criticism that China is going to give to America. When it comes to like countering like narratives, China's policy is pretty much to shut up about it. And the reason for that is because China will happily lose battles to win the war. Like, China has its eye on the prize. It knows where its victory is, right? Narratives like the Uyghur genocide, narratives like the Tiananmen Square massacre, they know will fade away with time. They know as the generations go on, those narratives will die away because they'll just be so far out that they won't be consequential, even if they were the worst case scenario. Like, imagine somebody in the year 2200 bringing up the Tiananmen Square massacre. Like, who gives a fuck at all? Right? Like, who gives a fuck even a little? Even if it's the absolute worst case scenario, who gives a fuck? Right? And China knows it. And China's whole strategy at this point, and this here, I actually have an article for this. Yeah. The U.S. military-industrial complex can't survive without China. The hardware of U.S. hegemony runs on Asian minerals, ensuring the U.S. will lose the war with China before it even starts. Each F-35 strike fighter requires 920 pounds of rare earth material. Each Arleigh-Burke DDG-51 destroyer requires 5,200 pounds. A Virginia-class submarine needs 9,200 pounds. These are not optional components. Defense lasers, batteries, displays, magnets, thousands of pounds of rare earth elements in some advanced weapon systems are purchased in a volatile marketplace dominated by one nation, China. What America cannot make: gallium, germanium, rare earth magnets, samarium, graphite. The USGS mineral commodity summaries confirm the U.S. is 100% net import reliant on over 15 critical materials. China imposed export controls on 7 of the 17 rare earth elements in April 2025. American fighter jets, satellites, guided missiles, magnets built with rare earth minerals like neodymium, samimium, and dysprosium. We're all going to forget this. Civilian tech companies can buy again. The Pentagon cannot. Like, the United States is now a country that produces services, which is a polite way of saying we cut each other's hair and trade pieces of paper while someone else makes the tools of civilization. Michael Hudson. China's strategy right now is play nice. integrate yourself as much as you can to the West to make them reliant. So going to war with you is difficult. And when small scale issues pop up, move on. Brush aside. Eye on the prize. Don't pay attention. That's just shit talk. And China doesn't shit talk. Like like when China shit talks, like when China actually gets around to shit talking, it's like a scalpel. It's like they go in and they just find the pressure point and they just go spoop. Right? They're not slashing around wildly and doing it. They literally are like, oh, this is where we need to hit. Boom. And they do. Like, I think the biggest wake-up call for the West is the realization that China is actually better at this than we are. Like, they've been at it a lot longer. They've been doing this whole civilization thing for a long, long time. For me, I think the biggest thing that China really has going for it is they have this idea called planning, this conception that we should, this conception and this idea that we should actually like have a plan, have an idea as to where we're going, check in on that idea every so often. Like, China's absolutely dominating because of it. And yeah, exactly. Planning utopian nonsense always ends in disaster. Yeah, if America has anything to say about it. I say this, by the way, of Western Marxists as well. Western Marxists have an extremely bad habit of talking about the Chinese Communist Party as if the Chinese Communist Party are the students. And we, Western Marxists, who've never experienced a revolution, who still live under the thumb of capital, and have there's no revolution in sight in the West at all. Western Marxists believe that they are the masters and that the Chinese Communist Party are the students. And it is just like laughably false that the criticisms that Western Marxists give to China is extremely well aware of and usually has a plan for it. And the plan is usually enacted over a series of decades. Like, they're on it. Oftentimes, what it looks like from my perspective is you watching Magnus Carlsen lose a game of chess. Magnus Carlsen is the number one chess player in the world, perhaps the number one chess player who has ever lived, because that conversation is happening. Watching him lose a game of chess. And then, like, acting like you could do better. Like, I assure you, if Magnus Carlsen lost that game of chess, you would lose that game of chess. I assure you. It is an absolute guarantee. And so, if something goes awry in China, a little sideways, and they have to kind of correct for it, something unexpected, something they didn't foresee, right? An act of God happens and they have to deal with it, you know, like a famine or something. I guarantee that would have happened to you. Like, I absolutely guarantee it. There's just so much like backseat quarterbacking happening. And it really has gotten to the point now where it's just downright disrespectful. Where I really do have to start asking, is this because they're Chinese? Like, is this just white chauvinism? Like, is that what this is? Is this literally just you think you know better because you're white? Or because you're Western? Like, is it Western chauvinism? Just we're Western and we have the best civilization, and so we know what's what. Misty Lane, good to see you. Seeing as capitalism is only appealing to poor people due to framing, people only hate communism due to framing. Oh, you want fair distribution of goods? You must be lazy. What a wild thing to say, dude. Like, what a wild thing to say. Imagine saying, oh, you want things to be easier? That must be bad. Like, what a wild thing to say. What, you don't want to walk out to an outhouse and shit in the cold? In a dark hole you have to muck every season? You think we can all collectively get together and create a collective plan, a system of pipes and underground tunnels so that we can bury away all of the refuge and waste that the society creates so we can maintain sanitation and cleanliness? What? How are you going to pay for that? And what's wrong with you? You're just soft, right? Back when I was a kid, we had to put on 3 layers and walk through a mile of snow to make it to the outhouse so I could take a shit. Right? And you're telling me you want an entire room dedicated in your apartment and house that's warm and safe and comfortable so that you can just bleary-eyed wander in to take a piss or a shit if you need to? You're lazy. You're soft. That's what these people sound like. Like, that's what these people sound like. You want systems that exclusively only exist in order to improve the quality of your life, to actually improve the quality of your life? You must be lazy. You think that you should be doing something better with this miracle of life given to you by God instead of being forced to sell your labor to capitalists? Lazy. I cannot even begin to tell you how stupid I think this sounds. The people who say it are absolutely dead-brained. Like, it's done for them. It's finished. If a person says, get a job, or go back to your country, right? Any of these trite, you're just lazy, you literally can just look at them and be like, opinion discarded. And if they ever tell you anything, you can just look at them and be like, who cares what you think? You think improving people's life is laziness. Like, who gives a shit what you think? Like, imagine actually believing you should be taken seriously as a person after publicly uttering in front of people the idea that improving the quality of life for people is somehow bad. Even more embarrassingly, because it's tied to the abstraction of money. And how are you going to pay for that? How is the institution responsible for printing and maintaining the currency supply that we use to measure value in our society going to pay for a thing that it can obviously pay for? Oh, by the way, we got another war. Like, what the fuck is wrong with your brain, man? Like, what's going on in here? What exists inside of this scape that has gotten you to the point where you believe improving life is bad and money that doesn't exist matters more than your life? Like, what's going on? What's happening? This is 100% just like fascist programming. It's the absolute worst one, the real pernicious one, the one that's like really embedded, so embedded that I've talked to more than one boomer about it, and they have said you're just gonna have to wait for the boomers to die off for that one to go. And that's the concept of the deficit. People have their undies in a knot over the deficit. Oh boy, is that deficit. The deficit. Oh, the deficit. We got to make sure that deficit. We got to balance the budget. We got to balance these books. We got to make sure that the government doesn't spend outside of its means because it's got a huge deficit. Do you know what a deficit is? Like, do you actually know what a deficit is? Right? I understand that people have a concept in their mind that it's like, we borrowed money and now we gotta pay that money back. Like, no, we didn't. We did not borrow that money. Like, I understand that there's an entire system of treasury bonds and stock portfolios and all of this where rich people have embedded themselves into government programs so much that it appears to be borrowing money. But guess fucking what? The government can print money. The government is fully capable of printing money. That means that a deficit is merely an accounting measure that is also keeping track of an equal surplus. That's the part of it they don't actually mention. That's the part of it that nobody actually talks about. That if you have a deficit, it means you also have a surplus. That every single time you read an article that says, oh, the deficit went up $10 billion, reread it as the surplus went up by $10 billion. Because that's what's actually happening. That they are putting a $10 billion deficit on the books to balance out the $10 billion surplus they're creating somewhere else. That's how accounting works. Right? That's how you actually balance the books. You don't balance your books by eliminating the deficit, because in order to eliminate the deficit, you know what you need to do? You need to eliminate surpluses. That's why they're constantly talking about privatizing. Right? Oh, the government's going broke. It needs to sell this off in order to get money. It prints the money. It controls the money supply. Get out of here with this garbage. Get out of here with this dumb, dead brain bullshit. That you want to eliminate that deficit, which you pretend is a debt, because you want to control the surplus. That's what it's actually about. You want to control the surplus. And you found a fun little language that has duped a whole bunch of gullible boomers into believing that the most serious issue happening in their lives isn't the homeless encampment outside their door, isn't the fact that their children are living in poverty and destitution, isn't the fact that everyone's miserable and we're constantly at war, it isn't the housing crisis, isn't the food crisis, isn't the climate crisis. No, the thing that really goddamn matters is the deficit. Literally a measurement of the surplus created by the government in order to provide services to you. So to eliminate the deficit means that we eliminate those services. And you don't understand this because you think the government is a business, when it is explicitly not. Governments print money. Businesses do not. Businesses pay taxes. Governments do not. Businesses fire people. Governments cannot fire people. There's no way for a government to just fire citizens. That's why the fascists always reach for concentration camps and eradication, because it's all they've got. It's how you fire people if you're a government. So this deficit propaganda, which is completely unchallenged in our mainstream media. Completely unchallenged. You'll see CTV, CBC, Global, Globe and Mail, everybody. Everybody has completely bought into this idea that deficits are what really matter. Deficits need to be paid down or else you're in debt, and that's bad. And it's just literally not how it works. Straight up, not how it works. Deficits are surpluses. They exist so that you can have health care. They exist so you can have a transit system. Making a big fucking deal about your deficit is like making a big fucking deal about the fact that a building is 150 meters tall. And saying, we gotta get these meters down. This is too many meters for a building. Like, that's what you sound like. But it's the most popular idea. It's crazy. It is genuinely insane. Yeah, people like meritocracy because it sounds good, but if you look at it for even more than half a second, it falls apart, says Misty Lane. Yeah. Like, humans can get caught in abstraction forever. Like, humans can get, like, this is why I think it's actually crucially necessary that at least once every 7 years, we wipe the slate clean and redistribute the money. Every single time. I would do it annually. I think it should be done annually, but every 7 years at least, because humans fall into abstraction. We abstract and we abstract and we abstract and we tinker and we tinker and we tinker and we tinker, right? And we can't help ourselves. We're always trying to find the loophole. We're always trying to find the nook, the cranny. Where's the way that we can rig this so that the money flows in this direction, right? And even on top of that, trading systems iterate monopoly. They just naturally do that, and that's not good. It's not healthy for a society to have monopolies. You don't want individuals in your society that have more power than your entire government. Like, you don't want that. And the way to really undercut all of this, right, is to just literally destroy the money supply and then redistribute it, and do that once a year, or once every 7 years if you want to be conservative. Like, take a look at what we're doing with digital currencies. Take a look at what digital currency, like, this is a descent into abstraction. This is an absurdism that we are burning energy to maintain funny money. We are burning energy in order to maintain something that doesn't inherently exist. It is like having a digital tape measurer, right? Like, what are we doing here, bud? Like, what are we doing? Like we just need a tape measure. We just need to write it down because it's an abstraction in the first place. It's just a method of keeping track of what's happening. Like, that's really all money actually is. It's just a measurement of value, and it's a historical document. It's a paper trail. Follow the money, right? Follow the money. But it's not a thing. It's not an object. It's not a commodity in and of itself. It's not something that actually exists. Like, it's fake. It's phony. It's not real. But we've abstracted it and embedded it and worshipped it so thoroughly that this is almost impossible to root out of the way you think of things. Money makes the world go round. No, motherfucker, gravity makes the world go around. Fucking what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's... And because we do this, because humans are like this, we just do this. We just abstract ad nauseum. We just need to set a limit and just say to people, no, fuck that. Like, we're going to give everyone equal access to the economy. We know that this is going to go off the rails. Like, we know it's going to go off the rails. It's just going to go off the rails. We're well aware of how this works, right? That it's going to result in monopoly. It's going to result in these sorts of things. And the way to prevent it, bring in the money supply, redistribute. And if you don't like it, tough shit. Get fucked. Like, this is how we organized our economies for thousands of years. That we literally were just like, yeah, like, if you're a king, like, imagine saying to a king, hey, we're going to make sure that this guy gets all the money and keeps it because he earned it. There's a 0% chance that king is going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, he earned it. He worked hard for that. Like a fundamental misunderstanding of what money is for. I don't give a fuck if he earned it. I don't care. I don't care how hard he hustled. Like, who gives a shit? It's completely irrelevant. Like, who cares how hard Ted Bundy worked? Like, it's beside the point. Allowing the money supply to accrue under a small group of people or a single individual is societally harmful, no matter how hard they work at it. It causes social problems. Big ones. Massive ones. So just don't allow it. Just be like, yep, nope, we're done with that. Like the idea that Elon Musk should have $1 trillion. Like right now he's worth like $700 billion. Like, what are you even talking about? What kind of ridiculous world are you living in? Ong writes, my biggest sticking point of meritocracy is who defines merit? And merit at what? I doubt the most talented potter would end up at the top of the hierarchy than the most talented grifter. Yeah. Like, it's the people with power who define what the meritocracy is. And it's the people with wealth and power who decides what they want to ascend and what doesn't, and what doesn't get seen. Right? So in your example, right? Yeah, the most talented potter. Yeah, and billionaires aren't the most talented people. Yeah, they're pretty empty. They're pretty vacuous. Like, this whole AI conversation should really illuminate that for you. You should be looking at this AI conversation and being like, oh yeah, like this is like the clarion call of an empty soul. This is how deep and vast emptiness is. Like, inside of yourself, there is an infinite, never-ending emptiness. There is a nothing that we all try to fill. We all try to fill. And most of us, because distraction is so prevalent now, it's everywhere. So that's where most of us end up, right? I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. Life's hard, right? Sit in a room by yourself for 10 minutes. Like, life's hard. Like, we do everything we can in order to distract ourselves from ourselves. Because the hardest thing for a person to do is to deal with themselves. This is what makes me so upset about laziness narratives or wasting your time narratives. The most difficult thing, and it isn't remotely close, the most difficult thing for a person to do is to deal with themselves. That's why solitary confinement is considered a very, very harsh punishment. An extended solitary confinement is considered a crime against humanity. Because everybody intrinsically knows and fundamentally understands that the most difficult thing for a person to do is to just deal with themselves. And that's it. Just deal with yourself. And so the idea that if we make our external world easier, if we make the external life that we're living a nicer place to be, that the result of that is going to be laziness, is inhuman garbage. If you make life easier for people, then that's going to make it easier for them to do the hardest thing that exists, which is to deal with yourself. It's so much easier to just get on a treadmill, to get into the grind set, to chase the money vision, to chase the macho bro or whatever the fuck the what is that fucking called? The bro space, whatever they fucking call it, the manosphere. Jesus Christ! Like to just like grind set into that. It's so much easier to do that. It's so much easier to just lose yourself in like vapid Marvel movies. It's so much easier to just spend your life in distraction and with like a grand goal that exists externally to you that can never be accomplished. Like I take a look at a guy like Goggins, for example. Like in the manosphere, there's this guy Goggins, and to his credit, he is like a physical specimen. Like he just like works and works and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. And that's what he is doing in order to not deal with himself. Like he considers that easier than the task of dealing with himself. And so get the fuck out of here with this. Like, I can't think of a more disconnected insult than to say that a person dealing with themselves is being lazy. Shut the fuck up. Like, shut the fuck right up. Like, it in many cases it is like, oh, that guy's just sitting around after he got thrown off the top of a building. Yeah, I bet he is. I absolutely bet he is. One of the things I think about when I was growing up, there was this First Nations reserve that we would drive past. And there would be this house. And it would be like on stilts. It was like very temporary. It looked like it was installed fairly temporarily. And the fellow that lived in the house, a First Nations fellow, he just destroyed this place. He blew holes in the side of it. Like, really destroyed it. It's a bit messy. There's stuff in the front. Like, straight up, like the walls are coming out of this thing. And I remember we would drive past this place, and I'd be like, what's up with this, man? And my dad, who didn't know any better at the time, of course, came up with the only thing that he could think of that made common sense, and said, well, the government just gives him the house, so why would he take care of it? Why not destroy it? And that was sort of the mindset. And then we all learned about the 60s scoop. I hadn't heard of the 60s scoop. I didn't hear about the 60s scoop until my brother told me about it in my first year of university. Like, they didn't teach us shit in school. I didn't learn anything about that. And if it hadn't been for my brother, I don't think I would have learned about the 60s scoop until much, much, much later. And it took my dad a little bit longer because, you know, you're kids, right? You don't want to fucking, who gives a shit about kids? Oh my God, these guys, can't they just get on? It's like, yeah, like the RCMP and the Catholic Church in the 1960s. So the fucking Beatles are on tour. Right, the Beatles are on tour. And the Catholic Church and the RCMP are kicking in First Nations the doors to First Nations houses, kidnapping their children, sending them off to a school, changing their names, refusing to let them speak their language, in order to, quote, kill the Indian. There's I forget the name of the fellow who went in, but there's a report from a doctor who went into one of these residential schools, and he said the place was riddled with tuberculosis and diseases. The absolute despair of having your child taken from you. The absolute despair of being the kidnapped child. This mass trauma perpetrated against the First Nations population that was happening at the same time that the Beatles were touring. Elvis Presley was touring. Come on, baby, light my fire. Kick in the door. Take the kid. That's the government. The last residential school in Manitoba closed the same year that The Lion King was in theaters. Like, and so when they close these residential schools down, they release all these kids back into the society, these kidnapped children who get to reconnect with their families after this mass trauma they all experienced collectively together. And so now you got this one guy, and you give him a house. You kidnapped him from his family. You put him through this residential school system. And now he's out. And you're going to give him a house. And so he spends his life living in a house given to him by his kidnappers. You are absolutely goddamn right. I'm going to blow a hole in the side of this fucking house. I'm going to blow a hole in the side of this goddamn house. I'm going to destroy the floors. I'm going to destroy the roof. I'm going to chop at the foundation. I'm going to burn it to the ground, and I'm going to make you bring me another one. And guess what? I'll watch him do it. And when he tells me that he's going to do it, I'll be like, I bet you will. I bet you goddamn will. Like, you want to talk about dealing with yourself. Like, that's dealing with yourself. And if somebody were to say of that man that he's just being a lazy Indian, there does come a point where it's pointless to argue with a fly that honey is better than shit. There just comes a point where you have to finally throw up your hands and be like, okay, you want to eat shit? Off you go then. Yeah, it reminds me of the argument that if you give people accessible healthcare, they won't take care of themselves. Yeah, which is just like the opposite of what actually happens. Because you know who's really invested in improving your health? Your healthcare professionals. It's literally their whole job. That if you don't have those guys, if you defund them or make them too expensive to gain access to, then you don't have them, and they can't encourage you to do things or give you resources or opportunities or bring things to your attention, right? If you make it so that they can't do those things at all, then those things don't happen, right? This idea that the best way to administer healthcare is by not is got to be the most goddamn stupid shit I've heard in my life. Like, what the Americans are putting up with their healthcare system is outrageous. Like, it is. It's just absolutely fundamentally outrageous. Nobody should tolerate that. Absolutely nobody should tolerate that. Fucking pardon Luigi Mangione. Arrest these fucking people. Like, get this fucking shit dealt with. Because what you guys are dealing with is inhuman. It's absolutely fucking insane what you're dealing with. There is a false scarcity being perpetrated on Americans where insurance companies, worthless psychopathic capitalists, are leveraging your need for healthcare to line their pockets. Like, you can't shop around for healthcare. You need the healthcare that you need. And the idea that we can, like, deny service because it's too expensive, shut the fuck up and go bankrupt. Fuck you. You shouldn't be doing this then. Jacob says millions of people having their insurance cut. It's sad when you know individual realities. Yeah. And like, you see what it's doing to your society. Like, you see what it's doing. And like, the warehouse fires have just begun. Like, it's people are just beginning this process. It's going to get so much more dramatic. It's going to get so much crazier. Like, there's going to come a time where a state is finally just going to say, we don't give a fuck what these insurance companies say about anything. We're not participating in what they're doing. Period. Full stop. Like, that's how it's going to happen. That's how it happened in Canada. Tommy Douglas became the premier of Saskatchewan, passed healthcare in Saskatchewan. It was resoundingly successful, and it was adopted shortly thereafter nationally by the Liberals because they knew if they didn't do it, they'd lose power. That's pretty much how it's going to happen in America. Is that a state is finally going to stand up and be like, fuck this shit. We're going to do the thing that literally everybody else is doing. And if any federal body comes in here and tells us that we can't, we will tell them to go fuck themselves. And that's how that's going to go. And it will be resoundingly successful as it has been successful in literally every nation that has done it. We've run the experiment. Like, that's the part about the conversation that's so fucking dead-brained. We've run the experiment. We've done it. Techrat's pardon a murderer! So assume you're happy to also pardon Derek Chauvin? Yeah. No Nazis in the chat, okay? No Nazis in the chat. Bye-bye. I am antagonistic to Nazis. No Nazis in the chat. Yeah, killing an unarmed black man on the streets. Yeah, definitely pardonable. No Nazis in the chat. Get the fuck out of here. Like, communists kill Nazis. You understand that, right? Like you understand that communists kill Nazis, and that's why Nazis try to kill communists. Like, you understand that, right? Try living outside of your privilege. Try living with stakes. Stop being a fucking Nazi. Get the fuck out of here. What is it? What is did I bring that meme up? No, I thought it was too childish to bring. Like, this is great. This is good. Yeah. Remember when Trump said he had concepts of the plan for the healthcare? Well, just we see as national cuts. Yeah. No, they're trying to kill. Like, Gaza is the template, guys. Like, Gaza is the template. What they do in Gaza is what they do to you. Like, that's the template. They're looking at it going, yeah, we could do that. Nilo says, man, I've been writing an article about LaRoucheism. That's very niche, but yeah. And boy, you were right about Hinkle and Has, John. Hats off to you. Yeah. Dude. Like, if I'm going to make a call, I'm going to make the right one. Like, it's just how it is. I'm not here to make wrong calls. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Hinkle and Has, specifically Has, I don't actually know that much about Hinkle outside of the fact that he's like pretty clearly a plant. Like, he just came out of nowhere. He's a pretty boy. He worked for the Democratic Party. Like, pretty straightforward plant. But Has is like a Nazi. So there's an organization in the United States called the American Communist Party, the ACP. They're National Socialists. They're Nazis. And the most damning evidence that I have for this comes from an article that you can find online, presumably still. The Rise of MAGA Communism. I read it on the yeah, there it is. I can't believe he still has this up. Like, because this is his out, right? Like, this is what outs him. I read this on stream. Like, first of all, look at this. Like, look at this, dude. Like, look at this fucking. Here it begins. Here's the essay. Here's the whole essay. Right? Still going. We're about halfway through. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. And done. And this is like in need of editing. It's very poorly written. A lot of what he says is quite stupid. The sorry, I'm just still laughing about that fucking Nazi. If you just do a search, because this is just dense, long, and I mean dense in the stupid form, not like it's very vapid and empty. Like, there's nothing to this. It's just blather. It's nonsense, really. Carl, yeah, here you go. Enter Carl Schmitt's theory of the partisan. Then he goes on to explain badly what Carl Schmitt's theory of the partisan is. Carl Schmitt's a Nazi, right? So we can just like jump here. Let's go partisan. So we could just like jump to the end of the article now, right? Oh, there's too many partisans. So many partisans. Yeah. Our faith lies with the people alone, and so mega communists now make it their goal to go down to the people and fight alongside them in a common partisan struggle against the ruling class. So he's adopting not the theories of Lenin or even Stalin or Trotsky or anything. He's adopting the theories of Carl Schmitt. Carl Schmitt's concept of the partisan lies in Hobbesian formalism, which he doesn't actually understand, but he goes on to describe it. And you could just do like a real simple, straightforward, just like Carl Schmitt. German jurist and political theorist and authoritarian conservative theorist who was known as critical, blah, 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 blah. 1933, Schmitt joined the Nazi Party. He never repudiated it, by the way. He died a Nazi. Schmidt and his work remain controversial for their association with Nazism. This is what the ACP, the president of the ACP, says that they should adopt as their governing theory. Like, it's done. It's over. We're finished. Anyone associated with this organization are Nazis. Just we don't need to mince words about this. Like, this is Nazism. Now, what's even more embarrassing, what makes this even more embarrassing, is that I went and read Carl Schmitt's Theory of the Partisan. Carl Schmitt was a Nazi lawyer. He wasn't talking about partisanship or the partisan as a goal for a people to strive towards in order to overthrow illegitimate governance. He was formulating the theory of the partisan as a legal category so that they could charge people with it and imprison them. That he specifically talks about Mao, he specifically talks about Lenin as partisans, and he specifically says that the reason they should be classified as partisan is so that they can be judged on that basis, that they are different than terrorists, that they are different. They're a different category of person we should charge with a crime. And to his credit, I think he was quite sympathetic towards a partisan. I think he had a sympathetic view of people striving for partisanship, which he would say that someone like Lenin and someone like Mao is a partisan. But he still wanted to incarcerate them. Like, we're done here. We don't need to be adopting the theories of a National Socialist, of a Nazi. We don't need to be doing that. Nilo says Dugin's thalassocracy and telocracy come from Schmidt too. I gotta be honest with you, dude. I've listened to like maybe 3 or 4 hours of Dugin. I think he's just a rambling know nothing, really. Like I don't think he really even understands the subject. I don't think he's particularly intelligent. He kind of cropped up at the same time that like Jordan Peterson cropped up. These guys really prove that all you really need to do to keep people's attention is kind of like get them into a philosophical puzzle box. That there's something like enjoyable about navigating strange and uncharted waters, right? Like a mystery movie. You know, you just spend a lot of time like wandering halls and like figuring, and like people deal with themselves, right? The hardest thing to do, deal with themselves. And so part of that is just like grabbing hold of these people who seem to have answers, and what they're saying kind of resonates with you, right? But when you actually peel back what they're saying, it's either just trite, like quaint folkisms, clean up your room, like real simple, just basic shit. Or it's just winding nonsense that ends nowhere, really. Because they themselves don't really know, like, they might be fascinated with the subject, but they don't really have an answer to it. They don't even really have a position on it. They just kind of leave it out in the world. Like, I just don't think that, and like, I just don't think that Dugin is worth attention. A big part about, like, if you understand a subject, you should be able to explain it so anybody can understand it. Right? You should be able to explain it pretty cleanly, and it should be pretty easy for you to do. And I just don't see Dugan doing that. I don't think Dugan tries to explain his position. I don't think he states his position very clearly. I think that's on purpose. I think he's just sort of benefiting from the position he finds himself in. And yeah, I mean, it could be like an intelligence grift. It could be that kind of thing. But like, most likely, it's just people catch on for all kinds of reasons. And like, you listen to these guys, and they're charismatic. They're saying something that seems interesting. Like, but it's especially true if you're dealing with a population that really doesn't have much by way of discernment, right? If you're not a very discerning population, if you're like brain trained on AI slop and Marvel movies, you know, like you get impressed easily. Like anytime I have this conversation, it always circles back in my mind to just the key example, just this key cultural moment where I just was like, oh, okay, yeah, like this is what it is to live in Western cultures. Like, I liked the movie Inception. Inception was fine. I had a good time. Cool visuals. Leonardo DiCaprio is a great actor, right? There were a lot of good actors in that, actually. Right? It's a Chris Nolan film, and like the bold choices with the score, Hans Zimmer's score. You know, great. So, but I like really distinctly remember having a repeated conversation with several people who were like, I didn't know what was happening in that movie. And I really had to be like, you didn't know what was going on in that movie? They literally explained it to you while it was happening. There was a character whose only job was to explain to you what was going on. And it really was a moment for me where I was just like, oh no. Oh no. You can show someone something. You can explain to them what it is they're seeing. You can take them by the hand and walk them through it. And they still won't have any goddamn idea what's going on. Oh no. And I think a lot of it is that, like, we're so soft served. Like everything has to have mass appeal. Everybody needs to be able to watch it. Mark Twain has a great quote where he says, censorship is like saying you can't eat a steak because a baby can't chew it. And what we've done is we've done like a collective, it isn't a formal censorship, but it's like a collective censorship where we're not, like, a baby needs to be able to watch it. You can't make something that's for an adult. It has to be suitable for all audiences. It needs to be family friendly, right? And especially with the Marvel shit, I think because we're so hand-fed shit, that if it's even slightly complicated, where it requires just a little bit of extra thought, we can't really handle it. It's like a muscle, right? We just don't have the muscle built up to actually like sit down and puzzle it, think about it. Like, I would adore a film like Inception that eliminated the explanation. I would adore that. Just get rid of that explanation completely. Don't even try to explain it. Straight up, just like have the guy plug into the other guy and then go on this journey. Like, make people figure it out. Don't fucking sit there and be like, okay, we're gonna
we're gonna go into the dream space now. We're taking over his dream, and there's levels, and to get out of the dream, you gotta get kicked, and there's a whole thing here. Okay, are you following? No? Well, we're gonna keep going anyway. Like, people need to puzzle this shit out. And so because people don't have that, because they don't have this like puzzling muscle, they don't have this like familiarity with it. A guy like Dugan comes along, or a guy like Peterson comes along, and they sort of stretch that muscle. You kind of have to puzzle with them. And it might take you a long time to really finally realize that these guys were not saying too much of anything. And it's especially bad if you like get swept up in a movement. Like if you get swept up in a movement and now you're part of like a community and an organization that's built around these guys telling you to clean up your room. Just like a nothing burger, right? JT, once again, why Lynch is so special in the West specifically. Let them puzzle it out. Don't explain it. You don't owe them an ending. Let them figure it out. Yeah, let them figure it out, man. Oh, Cillian Murphy is a joy. Tom Hardy, the trumpet, Blas. And makes you think, at least. Yeah. Your beard is coming in wonderfully. Very nice. Thank you very much. Honestly, man, like Christopher Nolan, like I did not like the Batman trilogy at all. It gets really like the third movie was like a huge letdown for me. Like the entire time, I was just like completely on board with Bane. Every single time Bane said anything or did anything, I was just like, yeah, this guy knows what's up. This guy completely gets it. He's absolutely on the money. Everything he's saying is correct. His perspective is correct. And then they just have him become a total fucking madman. Like literally just unhinged. Like here's a nuclear bomb that's going to go off. It's like senseless. Just straight up like, okay, we can't have the guy that's making sense actually one up Batman, so we need to make him nuts. I was just like, really? This is the end of your trilogy? Just some weird, like, Deus Ex Machina, oh, he's just so crazy, he's gonna drop a nuke. Oh, okay. I thought that this was actually going somewhere. I thought that Batman was actually gonna have an arc. You have a trilogy. I sort of expected an arc, you know. I guess he retired. That's his arc. He learned finally how to get old and retire. Nice. Yeah, rich guy retires. Everything's fine. So I was just like, and I don't know, dude, like, even Christian Bale was like, he felt like he didn't take the role seriously. And it's like, yeah, dude, we could tell. Like the voice. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Like, come on, man. Like, we've seen Christian Bale do some amazing acting work. He's like one of the great American actors. I don't think that's arguable. Like American Psycho, the Machinist, even some of the works he's done on Marvel films, where he played that like weird, creepy god guy. I don't know his name. I don't remember. But like, it was like, that's a fucking performance, man. What he did for Batman, he pretty much showed up and put the suit on and was like, oh, Batman. I don't know, bro. And I think that like, it was really quite telling because like, it was when they did the second film that he said that. Because I think he saw Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker and was just like, oh fuck, this was here the whole time. Like there actually was like pay dirt here. There really was money here. There really was like something beautiful that I could have mined and created and done something interesting with. Instead, it's basically just like, show up and like be like a male model, Zoolander face. You know, just do that basically. But hey, not every project you're doing because it's your passion project. Some projects you just do because you want the money, right? It's hard to blame. It's hard to blame. It's like, yeah, I'll take a couple dozen $1 million. Yeah, for sure. Thanks. JT writes, hey, once again, Cillian Murphy was probably the best part of the first one. Made Scarecrow interesting, yeah. Tom Hardy tried to make Bane interesting. Heath obviously did good. Oh, thanks, Jacob. I appreciate it. Jacob says, nice stream. Oh, I thank you. Of course it was nice. I'm here. To me, like, SV says modern movies have lost viewability and anything other than complete darkness, and the sounds have been basically muted. It sucks. The modern film and television cannot achieve the absolute pinnacle of what film and television can do. Because the absolute pinnacle of what film and television can do is launch a scathing critique against its own society. You can have big conversations about what's going on in your culture and what's going on in your society, and you can make big statements and defend those statements with film and television. And there was a period of time in which things slipped through because they weren't taken very seriously. Like, I'm very specifically thinking of Star Trek here. But Star Trek pretty much slips through because people are like, look, I'm just here for the money, and there's people that want to watch this stuff. Okay, what? Like, airy-fairy bullshit in the future. Okay, cool. Money, money, please. And it really is only as time has gone forward that, like, CIA operations and people have sort of figured out that, like, no. Film and television is the imagination of your culture. And the imagination of your culture sets the pace of where your culture is going to go. You have to imagine something before you go to it. You've never gone to a place you can't imagine first, right? You have to imagine it, and then you can do it, right? Sports psychologists might call this visualization, right? If you want to build something, you have to imagine it first. You have to build it in abstraction before you build it in reality. And if people are making film and television that says capitalists are bad and we should get rid of them, and you are a capitalist, which is to say you own a film studio, you have the ability to make film and television at a high enough level, well, guess what? You're just never going to produce that stuff. You're just never going to produce film and television that actually tackles meaningfully what capitalism is, what it represents in the society, and how to solve the problem. You're never going to see that episode of Star Trek. You're never going to see the episode of Star Trek where they actually go like, wait a minute, this is landlordism. Landlords were abolished in 2153 with the Fitzgerald Accords. We realized that landlords were a meaningless go-between, a meaningless checkpoint, a meaningless parasite attached to the system that was completely unnecessary. And we just decided to provide housing collectively and give people access to shelter without having to pay a landlord for it. You'll never see that episode. That's never going to happen. Because the people who own the film studios are landlords. And because of this, the society can't meaningfully advance. It's caught in a cultural feedback loop. It can't actually have a discussion about itself. The hardest thing to do is deal with yourself. And if that's true of humans, it's true of nations. Well, how do you have that conversation if you can't have the conversation? If the only people who control the mass media, the billion-dollar organization that is mass media, never want to talk about it? Like, you can tell that they're getting desperate. You can tell that they feel like they're losing control of the narrative because they're beginning to make explicitly pro-capitalist propaganda. They're beginning to make propaganda that is shining a positive light on capitalism and making capitalism look cool or interesting, right? And in my view, that's a huge mistake. That they'd be better off staying quiet. And continue treating capitalism like it is just a natural force. Continue treating capitalism as if it's just like, yeah, this is like gravity. Like you just can't, it will always gravitate back towards this mean. The fact that they're even discussing it, the fact that they're even making propaganda about it, tells you that it isn't a natural formation. It isn't the natural way of things. That something else could be. Fiddlefort says, this, John, is the making of revolutions, the system itself preventing progress. Yeah, and like, it'd be bad enough if we were like in a vacuum, right? It'd be bad enough if we were like the West and this is what was happening and we had this, but we actually have a country that is actually progressing swiftly. Really fast. And that's China. China is advancing ridiculously quickly. And it's going to get like comically ridiculous. Like it's going to be a cartoon where we're going to look out at China and just be like, "Oh fuck. We didn't even think that this was possible." Like, how to explain this? Like my imagination has us with like solar panels and like thorium reactors and that kind of stuff. But because that imagined reality didn't manifest itself and isn't manifesting itself and won't manifest itself, that's as far as my imagination can take me. I have no foundation upon which to further cast my vision forward. I've reached the limits of my imagination before it gets so abstract that it's just nonsense. Right? Reality needs to catch up to imagination, manifest itself, and then usually it's just a new generation of people stand atop of the manifested reality and then cast their vision forward, and so the process begins generation by generation. Because we have halted, we refuse to progress, we refuse to move forward, so too will our imagination refuse to move forward. So too will we not know where to go after. Right? And so what this means is that what's going to happen is that China has already or will manifest like solar panels, high-speed rail. They've manifested a new reality. And that's their new foundation. That becomes their status quo. And they are going to cast their imagination into the future and imagine a new reality for themselves and go towards that new reality. And it'll be a new reality that we literally cannot imagine because we don't have the foundation to do it. Not only in capability, but also in reality. We don't have acres and acres of solar panels built. We don't have high-speed rail built. We don't know what our capabilities will be or can be until they are. And so we can only imagine upon imagination. And so we're limited entirely. And so in the space of, like, literally, it's going to be like a single generation, guys. It's going to be like 10 years. It's going to be a very short period of time. The Chinese are going to be doing stuff that we just didn't even think of. Nilo says, you need to examine the implications of what I've said up there in the chat. Oh, okay. We also have a new person here, Inverse Impact. Do you think if the West became communist today, they could catch up? They don't have much time. The West will fall apart first, which is normal. It's normal for empires to fall apart, and America will be no different. It'll break apart into states. Like, the states are countries. It'll break apart that way. If America manages to stay together as a country, it will literally be the first empire in human history to have done so. Okay, hold on. Nilo requested me to circle back. Worth attention, casual link. He's worth attention in so much he's a causal link in a chain of events. Understanding his role helps us understand what happened to Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Yeah. It's noteworthy that Dugin and Zyuganov were both part of the National Salvation Front during the 1993 Constitution crisis. Zyuganov went on to reform the Russian Communist Party, which replaces the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. But it was the moment it became a false communist party, in my opinion. Dugin went on to get close to Primakov and then Putin, who is famous for the Primakov Doctrine, which is the foundation of BRICS. Oh yeah, Jude Law is doing a movie where he's playing Vladimir Putin. And it's like, I kind of want to watch it, but at the same time, it's like, there's just no way this isn't a hit piece. Like, there's just no way they're going to give him a fair shake. Like, and now both the Communist Party and the Eurasianist monarchists both support the invasion of Ukraine, Greater Russia. Novorussia is not so communist. Yeah, I mean, they've turned away from their communist, like, the word... I struggle to give what Russia is currently a word. Like, what is it that they are? What are they doing? Some people want to just be like they're imperialist, and it's like, yeah. I mean, yeah, kind of. Like, they're just sort of limited by capability. I really think that, like, at the end of the day, people are going to look at Putin and this era Russian history is just like, I don't mean this in the negative way or a pejorative, right? But just sort of like opportunist. Just like, where do we make this work? How do we make this work? How do we put this together so things work? And it's just like Putin's pivot away from Europe towards China is pretty emblematic of that. That it's more just pragmatism. It's just literally like, look, how do we make this work? I don't need an ideological backing for this. Like, how does this turn on? How do I make this go? Am I missing? Yes, they are imperialists. Yeah. They just lack the capability of the Americans. I feel like I've missed something. Eurasianism is actually an anti-Bolshevik ideology that comes from the exiled supporters of the White Army in Germany. Wild. You've been doing some reading, man. That's good. That's cool. I think this understanding the root of Eurasianism helps us understand that. Putin's praise of Ilion is important. All right. Well, on that note, I'm half hour over. Been a nice one. Always remember, each and every one of you is a quantum being, walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. Revolt. Rebel. Repent. Good luck.